Fitzpatrick takes the snap, drops back, lobs it back right corner. Decker! He's got it! Touchdown! Eric Decker scores! And the Jets have won it in overtime!
This is the Jet Take with Ben Blessington and Kyle Fahey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Jet Take. I'm your host, Ben Blessington. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Money, Kyle Fahey. We've returned from our, impromptu few-week break, just coming out of the dead of the off-season, but Mr. Fahey and I are here. We have a special guest on the line as well, and we're going to do a fun show tonight. We have some really interesting topics, and I'm excited to talk about some of these. You know, I think part of this off-season, like the dead point is can be boring in some ways. You don't really have much news, and I guess you don't want news because any news is most likely negative, injuries or off the field issues. But it always does drive content creators to find some stuff to talk about, and I think oftentimes you'll see a lot of interesting debates and topics come up during this season. And I think that's something that people at Turn on the Jets have done a really good job of. Look at that shameless plug right there.
Yeah. Hey, Ben.
We'll do the plugs in 2 minutes. I'll get Kyle on the show.
Okay.
I guess he's already unmuted. But Kyle, how's it going?
Yeah. You do realize I have
I know,
but
it's normally like I was gonna formally introduce you. Like,
well,
Kyle, I always say, Kyle, how you doing? And then you say I'm good,
okay.
and you say whatever crap you're gonna say.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, as you're plugging all the great content and stuff, I dare you to find better content. I dare you.
Yes, we dare you to find better content than at turnonthejets.com, and included in that Turn on the Jets digital podcast network is our show, The Jet Take, the very sporadic podcast releases every Wednesday.
Yeah, we might have to rest. We might.
No, it was a bit dead for 2 weeks or so we were just like, you know what, let's not do a show for a bit. We're back, plenty of stuff to talk about. But your follow at The Jet Take. I will say I'm very happy because our Twitter engagements has stayed the same regardless. So we appreciate everybody
You've been a no-show for like the past 2 weeks on there.
You know, I was coming off the graduation high and just kind of vacationing, and you know, it's summer. So I took a little break, got mentally right. I'm rejuvenated and I'm ready to deal with you, Kyle. That's the big part.
Rejuvenated. Yeah, that Portland Hills cushy lifestyle really got you bent out of shape, right?
Yeah, you know, it's hard. My life is just so difficult. Speaking of life,
tore both of his Achilles at the same time. I don't know if he's ever told you guys that.
I didn't tear them both at the same time. I was born with club foot, and then they had to cut. When I was that's just something I was born with. Why are you laughing? I can walk fine. I mean, I run. Okay, let's get into it. Yes, as I said, you follow us at The Jet Take on Twitter. You can listen to our show wherever you listen to podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, whatever. So you can catch our show there. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, go to turnonthejets.com and I'm not just saying this because we're part of the network. It is the best Jets content out there, regardless of fan networks or professional networks. I just feel like we have a really great balance between Connor, Joe, and then Kyle, myself, and all the contributors, Scott, DA, and a guy we're about to bring on next. Look at that slight segue. So go to turnonthejets.com. All right, speaking of that, let's bring him on. Paulie Bruce, who's been on our show before as a caller, but he's launching his podcast late July. We thought it'd be a good time to bring him on and kind of plug it a bit and just talk about the show and some other fun Jets topics. So, Paulie, how you doing, man?
Hey, guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me tonight.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. We're very excited to get you on. I guess we'll start just talking a little bit about your podcast. Can you tell our listeners who haven't heard about it yet? It launches July 24th. Just tell them, a little bit about it, who you're running it with, what's it called, and what the premise is. Because I really think it's a super interesting premise, and I'm excited to potentially be a part of it if we can during Syracuse basketball season.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I said earlier,
I've been curved by plenty of girls in my life, and that was a curve. We'll see.
Leaned in for the Joe Namath.
See how we do. So the premise of the podcast is it's going to be myself and Delvin Osario. We had a podcast back in the day. We were together on it. It was something we both wanted to do. It didn't work out, but we're going to come back now. We're going to be on the Turn on the Jets on the TOJ Digital Network. It's going to be called What's Your Point? You could follow the account on Twitter. It's TOJ_WYP. The premise of the show really is it's going to be a debate show. It's a little something different, something we didn't see out there. We're not going to be as takey as some of your other debate shows,
Whoa.
but it's going to be spirited. No, it wasn't directed at you guys, but it's.
I didn't hear it, but should I be?
It's not going to be a takey. I mean, our show is the Jet Take. I feel like that was a direct shot. But
wow.
It was, no, listen. I will say
you.
one thing. There is one thing that I will do is I don't take subliminal shots. If I'm taking one, it'll be a shot right across the bow, and everybody would know it was coming. I promise.
I like it. See, that's why I like. Paulie.
But it's gonna be a spirited debate show. It's obviously all Jets content. It's gonna be something good. We're gonna have the producer extraordinaire Scott Mason is going to be the moderator, and each week we'll have on a special guest judge. So whether it be someone involved with the mass media, someone from TOJ, someone from outside the box. So it's something we're looking forward to. We're going to have like an introduction article. Delvin has gotten me his portion. I'm just been a little bit busy, so I'm working on my portion, but I'm going to get that over, and that article will be dropping hopefully soon. But like you guys said, July 24th is the launch date, and it's something that we feel is different, like I said, and it's definitely going to be interesting. We did well together prior, and we're looking to do even better now.
Yeah, and you can follow that at TOJ_WYP. So
yeah,
turn the
I
Jets
still have access
point.
to that account. I feel like that's a mistake on their part.
I would definitely block any social media presence Kyle may have on your account. He was not allowed on the Jet Take account for months.
Okay, that's only okay. To be fair, that's because Ben doesn't understand that we were at war and I got permission from Joe to do stuff.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, Paul, let's talk some Jets football here. I guess we'll start it off top of the bat with, I guess, probably the biggest kind of storyline heading into the offseason, and I guess kind of complemented by a lesser point. But just kind of the negative energy from the media, despite being, in my eyes, I guess. I mean, this is the most excited I've been for a season in a long time. I guess probably that's emphasized by the Jets being like the lowest ranked team in Madden. I mean, I think if you looked at this player ranking,
that stuff, and maybe that's because you guys are a little bit younger than me.
Just a little bit.
That stuff doesn't bother me. Like, I mean, it did bother me, but I don't give a shit what they're rated on Madden, man. I don't care what the media says. Literally, and I said this before when I called it, this season only matters about Sam Darnold. Whether he's starting in his progression throughout the year or when he's going to start, I don't care what the Jets' record is this season. I don't care. And listen, that's just me. The rankings, what the media thinks. I mean, the roster had a turnover. We've got, hopefully, our quarterback. Everything about this season and next offseason is all about Sam Darnold. So the Madden rankings, and it's fun to say because, the LOL Jets is going to unfortunately stick around until the narrative is fully changed by the organization. They've done a facelift, okay? They've gotten some work done. Everything looks pretty. Now they've got to build on that. So it's so easy to poke fun at the Jets because it has been something to do for so long. So, of course, they're going to be the worst-rated team in Madden. They're typically in the bottom 5 teams in Madden every year, but now they put them last because it's the Jets. So that stuff to me is just all for Twitter banter, and it's fun to look at, it's fun to laugh at, but I take that with no seriousness whatsoever.
Yeah, and neither do I really. I play a lot of Madden, but I don't really,
I play Madden all the time. And here's the thing. The only time I play with the Jets is when I start a franchise and I build the whole thing from scratch anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't care what the ranking is.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one that does
I play a lot of online, connected franchise with a lot of guys and stuff. So I'll definitely be the Jets this year. It'll be a while to build.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, who cares?
You want to play with them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And who cares about, ESPN power rankings having us as the lowest team or Vegas odds or whatnot.
See, that's another thing. Power rankings are a joke, and they're almost as bad as schedule predictions. because the NFL changes week to week, and people want to put out strength of schedule and schedule predictions. All that stuff is just for what? It's just something to talk about until the season gets here. That's all it is.
I'm pretty sure Kyle and I have done 3 scheduled prediction shows. So, I mean, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're right. It's literally because there's nothing to talk about at times. So it's like, okay, let's take this. I know what you're saying, Paul.
We were going to start the podcast shortly after the draft, and then we talked about it, and we were like, but there's really nothing to talk about right now. So what we figured was we'd wait till training camp was officially announced, which they announced July 26th is when the players report. So we figured we'd launch the podcast the week of training camp getting going, and we'd have a lot of current topics, maybe a few old ones, but we wanted to be as on top and current with training camp starting as we could be.
Yeah, do you think there's any warrant to the claims that the Jets could be the worst team in the league? I don't, but I'm trying to think, like, do you have teams that you think are worse? I definitely have teams, and before I let you answer, I definitely have teams that I think are worse off than the Jets, like, for instance, the Dolphins. I'm not, if I were a Dolphins fan right now, it would kind of feel like I'm heading into that 2017, 2016 season. Like, I'm not in love with Ryan Tannehill, despite what Travis Wingfield says. I think he's an okay quarterback. And then besides that, when you look at some of their offseason additions, Frank Gore, Danny Amendola. I don't know how exciting that team. You know what I mean? So there are teams that I definitely would.
Danny Amendola can hook you guys up with Somali.
This isn't me being an AFC East fan, but I mean the Dolphins and the Bills have a worse roster than the Jets right now.
100%.
I'm not sure about the Colts roster. I'm not sure about
Luck is healthy.
Yeah, I mean, even if Luck's healthy, I mean, we've seen when Luck was healthy and the roster was still, I mean, they've improved the line, but, I mean, there are teams around the league that right now are worse. And we heard it last year. The Jets weren't going to win a game, and how many games did they win? So it's all the Jets are better than they were last year. So if we want to go to the schedule thing, I mean, looking at their roster now, the Jets should win more than 5 games next year. They should.
Yeah, I mean, they're better in literally every – I can't think of they're not worse in any position. I mean, you could maybe argue, well, quarterback, because we haven't seen Darnold, and it's probably assumed McCown will regress, and maybe
tight end
that he's not hurt. But, I mean, I'm not going to say that. I'd much rather have our quarterback room this year than last year. Tight end, maybe, but again, Kyle, I mean, there are some guys in that room that I'm excited about. I mean, it was clear that the Jets were really excited about Jordan Leggett. I like Chris Herndon, and I'd be, singing his praises if he didn't, get drunk and get behind the wheel of a car this offseason. But, I mean, he still has hope.
I
think Clive Walford was a nice.
And here's another team, because I'm just thinking of AFC teams. But, I mean, the Cardinals roster isn't that good. I mean, if we're really being honest, I mean, yeah, the defense is solid, but their offense, other than David Johnson right now coming off an injury, I mean, we really don't know what so there's teams that are worse in this league. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too. I think they're going to be nice in a few. I'm just a Rosen fan, and I like him playing in the dome over there.
Jewish Jesus.
I don't know if I'd call him Jewish Jesus, but I think he'll be good, and I like David Johnson. So I think they'll have something in a few years. But I agree with you. Yeah, you look at that roster. I mean, it's a lot of holes. I agree. I'm just trying to think. Are some of the concerns warranted about the Jets? Because I'll hear people talk about. Well, the weapons. Who had the tweet that got a lot of people riled up? It was Dan Orlovsky. That's who it had. He had the tweet. He was basically just saying, I mean, the Jets don't have any weapons and they're so inexperienced. And then Quincy Nuno clapped back with basically saying, hey, we have 4 guys who have had, what was it, 1,000-yard seasons or something like that? Kyle, can you back me? It was something like that, separate 1,000-yard seasons.
All 4 guys have 800 yards.
That's what it was.
This is the
only team in the NFL.
Like, this is going back to my earlier point. Like, the narrative for so long is the Jets don't have any weapons, that's just what people go with on the norm. So it's just, I have no concerns with this Jets season because, like I said, I already told you what my thought process is on the season, the development of Sam Darnold. I don't care if the Jets win 10 games, 11 games somehow and make the playoffs, freaking-tastic because that means we're on the way. But if the Jets start Darnold and the Jets win 6 or 7 games, they go 7-9, but Darnold has shown that he's the answer, and we're moving on to the next season with $100 million in cap space and our franchise quarterback. That's more of a victory to me than anything this season. So that's all it comes down to is his development. So I don't have any concerns with the Jets. I think the roster's better than last year. The team that was going 0-16 last year, that roster is not here anymore. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I mean, you would think that it would just be like, the roster was worse last year. They won 5 games. The roster this year, better. I mean, and it doesn't seem like, I mean, they have a lot of winnable games early on for sure. I mean, they play a lot of teams like Miami and Cleveland and, the Lions. There are a lot of games I think they could win early on, and that's kind of when you want your easy games. I mean, obviously you don't want to have a bunch of hard games in a row, but I don't think their schedule this year is too challenging. I mean, I'm kind of Kyle, what are your thoughts on the schedule? I know you don't like schedule predictions, but at least just, at face value, how the teams performed last year and some of their improvements. Obviously, I mean, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Nobody would have said that last season. But Kyle, do you have any thoughts on how the schedule's shaping up and how you think this Jets team compares to last year's?
Well, on purely face value of the schedule so far, I could tell you right now that the Jets should have 5 divisional wins. It's 4 or 5. I hope we win a Patriots game. I think we should win a Patriots game. With the talent that we have all coming together, at least with the wide receiving core, and I think a better overall stable running backs and, more capable quarterbacks. Hopefully Darnold starting towards the end of the year. But the Bills, I think, are going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. You really look at what they have under center right now. It's Nathan Peterman, who's colorblind. It's Josh Allen, who's a racist. And it's A.J. McCarron, who is A.J. McCarron, to put it that way. They have nobody capable of...
A.J. McCarron's wife's hot, though, so...
Yeah, that's true. Vern Lundquist let us all know that for 5 straight minutes during that championship game. It was a little awkward. Probably HR was called. But, and then you look not only who's under center, but God forbid somebody under center, outright wins the position. They're like, hey, they're looking pretty decent in camp. Maybe they'll be a little better than you thought. Who the hell are you throwing to? Jeremy Curley? Because I'll tell you what, Jeremy Curley as your arguably number 1 option doesn't work. I can tell you from experience. We all can. Who else is there? Kelvin Benjamin? Is he still there? Can he ever stay healthy? I mean, they have no real targets on offense, and they have a great back in LaShawn McCoy. Going to be a future Hall of Famer, still a top 5 running back in the NFL, but teams are going to scheme for that now. At least when you had Tyrod Taylor, there was a capable quarterback who had multiple abilities himself where he could throw the ball and he can run it. It helped LaShawn McCoy. You take that away and you put Josh Whitebread Allen in there. The guy's going to overthrow. The targets aren't even running the right routes or catching the ball or getting past the line of scrimmage basically without getting caught in a jam. I mean, the Bills' offense is going to be in shambles. And you look at what happened to their offensive line. 2 starters from last year gone. Richie Incognito, Pro Bowl season. Eric Wood, who was, I guess, towards the end of his career in terms of, no longer in his prime, but he was still a viable starter in the NFL. I mean, that offense has been flipped from a bit above average, primarily because of LaShawn McCoy, to trash, hot trash, and hoping that Josh Allen is a savior when we all know that's not going to happen. And then, their defense is all right. Tre'Davious White had a solid rookie campaign. I think, the team or the defensive side of the ball was talented itself, but it's not going to win you games. The Jets have been in that scenario multiple times, and they are not as talented as past Jets defenses have been. So I'll tell you right now, I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going to get over 5 wins. And you look at the Miami Dolphins, they're in a little bit better shape. Ryan Tannehill, we don't know what he is 100% right now with his injuries. He's approaching 30, approaching a contract. He might play out of his mind this year. He might play like a guy who's coming off a major knee surgery and nearing 30 years old. We don't know what's going to happen. They lost Jarvis Landry, who has been their best target for the past 5 or 6 years. They're hoping that a guy like Devontae Parker steps up, who I believe is talented, but I don't know if he can take the number 1 role right now. And the whole running back core is kind of, it's kind of like where the Jets are sitting right now. They don't have a true number 1. They have a couple guys who they like, who they want to get better, or they want to get more reps. We just don't know what they're going to do on offense right now. They've lost weapons. Their quarterback is a big mystery. The offensive line has continued to getting shuffled around, and I don't think it's really been solved. Their defense, kind of like the Bills, has talent, but a lot of those guys on there can't stay healthy as well. And, the leader of that defense is 35-year-old Cameron Wake. How much longer can he give you production? And I think the drop-off may start this year. I think Cameron Wake, also a Hall of Famer, but, sort of by himself, the defensive side of the ball by themselves. So I think those teams are weak right now. And I look at the Jets, who are, I guess, weak by NFL standards, if we want to talk about it like that. but they're young and they're improving, and we have young talent. We're not like the Bills, where I can't tell you a wide receiver on that team that's worth a damn, because the Jets have those. It's not like the Bills where they don't have a quarterback who's worth a damn. The Jets have 3 of them currently. So there's a difference between weak because you suck and currently weak because you're young and you're learning, and maybe some coaching mistakes that need to get ironed out over time. I'm still not 100% sold on Bowles, but I think divisional-wise, just looking on that this year, because that's the only thing I can 100% tell you for teams on our schedule this year, because so many things change, so many guys get in and out of the roster before the season starts, so many guys get injured. 100% right now, the Jets are the second-best team in the AFC East, and that's not a question in my mind. And then there's obviously the team up in Foxborough who continues to dominate, who continues to have the best coach of all time, the second-best quarterback of all time, and the best tight end of all time. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. You know that's my argument. Don't stop me. I'm on a roll. Don't stop me. You
can't be the GOAT, Kyle, with 1 ring. I'm sorry. He might be the most talented, but Brady's the GOAT.
Let the eldersman speak. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is amazing. Okay, it's not the rings. The rings argument it doesn't define the quarterback. It's just what everybody gets hung up on. Aaron Rodgers has had extremely limited amount of help in Green Bay. They haven't signed free agents until like this year. Aaron Rodgers is amazing, but Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And I know it's going to upset listeners because Jets fans are always in denial. But I'm telling you right now.
I love Brady. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I just think Aaron Rodgers is a different animal. I just think Aaron Rodgers. If you get, I know this is, and I don't really want to get into this because I'm going to get passionate about it.
Is this the NFL take or the Jet take though? I'm so confused.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. That was the longest I've heard Kyle talk seriously ever about it.
Well, and he formulated good sentences. I was proud.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't interrupt with just dick jokes. It was amazing. We've literally had this. We've had this. Kyle, that was a compliment, and in a way, we've had this debate at least 5 times on the show about. I know, I heard it. About Brady versus Rodgers, but honestly, who cares? Kyle has his ways. He's not.
Okay.
He doesn't change his opinion that much. But Paulie, I want to kind of bring it back. Kyle, I agreed with everything you said. I do think that.
Finish up that topic, but it's okay.
What?
I was gonna finish up, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't know you weren't done.
Yeah, you're kind of edging me here, Ben. You gotta take my time. But
he's back.
Yeah, the team up. Yep, you threw me off. You had me going, but you threw me off a little bit. The team up in Foxborough, obviously dominant. And like I said, one of the greatest quarterbacks, the best coach, and the best tight end of all time are still on their roster. And until that changes, the Patriots are my Super Bowl favorite as of right now. And I really don't know what's going to come out of the NFC because I don't think Philly's going to be, what they were last year. They had something magical last year, but that's for most Super Bowl teams. Regardless, they're overall not a strong roster. If you look at it from top to bottom, they've lost Malcolm Butler. They've lost some safety depth. They've lost defensive line depth. Their O-line, I think they picked up a good guy in Isaiah Wynn in the second. I think they got him in the second round. They got 2 good, solid SEC Georgia prospects, Nick Chubb and Isaiah Wynn, who I think can come in and contribute. Julian Edelman down the first 4 games. They lost Danny Amendola. I mean, right now, I know the Patriots always find a way, but it's looking hard for the guys to do their job when they're not good at it. They're scrapping right now for talent at wide receiver, and Rob Gronkowski really throughout his entire career, even though he's the greatest to ever do it at his position, has never been able to stay healthy for 16 games. So I question who Brady's going to be throwing to for a lot of this season, and I think they'll find a way to work it out in the playoffs long term, but I think, they'll be more vulnerable than ever this year, and I think the Jets, should get a win against them because we've beaten them with worse teams.
A name to watch with the Patriots, and I haven't
Chris
heard
Barrios.
But Eric Decker is a name to watch with them when training camp starts. And
if Sugar Dick does that, I'll lose respect for him.
He had a down year last year, but as soon as he plugs into that and he starts playing out of the slot for them, and then when Edelman comes back, listen. The Patriots are the franchise, like you said, until everybody who is still there is gone, and we just have to hope it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah. All right, Paulie, let's do some rapid fire questions. I figured I'd just segue into it. I was going to go somewhere else with our next kind of thing to talk about, but I think we're talking about the AFC East. Why not do it? Joe Caparosa wrote an article this week kind of doing, I don't know if you guys saw, it was just an AFC East skill position rankings type of thing. So, like, for instance, based off the quarterbacks, rank the teams in the AFC. Who has the best, quarterback? And so you go, 1 New England, 2, whoever, 3, 4, whatever. And then running back, receiver, O-line, whatever. So let's do that. Probably we'll try to, go through this rapid so it's not, we don't want to make it boring or whatnot. So I guess we'll start with the quarterback. Paulie, I'll just turn it over to you. I kind of want to get your positional ranking. So out of the quarterbacks in the AFC East, can you rank each team? Obviously I think the Patriots are probably going to be number 1. And then after that, it's kind of a toss-up between who has the best quarterback out of the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, given the 2 of them are rookies.
So what I'm going to do is obviously one is New England. And then I'm not going to rank the other 3 because you've got Ryan Tannehill coming off an injury. You've got the Bills with we don't know who the starter is. And you've got the Jets right now who you don't know who the starter is. If McCown starts, then I'm going to have to go by default. The Jets have the second best quarterback in the division right now because he played last year and he did play at a decent level until he got hurt like he always does. So it's so hard to say the rest of the division because it's just such an unknown right now. If we can go back and revisit this at week 1, obviously it'll be a clearer picture. But to say, oh well, I mean, in all seriousness, if we want to go by tenure, then I think you have to say right now is it Tannehill because he has produced for the Dolphins while it has been at a high level kind of at some times, other times not so much. So it's such an unknown right now with his injury, with not knowing who the Bills starter is and not knowing who the Jets starter is.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say this. If we were to – I agree with you completely. If we're to do complete rooms, so not just the – we kind of just used Allen, Darnold, and Tannehill, I'll say Jets should be number 2 for sure because I love having the stable veteran and Josh McCown and then a guy like Teddy Bridgewater who was a top 15 quarterback 2 years ago before getting hurt. Going to the running back stable here, kind of an interesting one because really only the Bills kind of have a defined, bell cow type running back. I think the thing that I pointed out a few weeks ago is just kind of how similar New England and the Jets have structured their running back core. More New England of the Super Bowl winning year in 2016. I was just kind of talking about, okay, well, you have your LeGarrette Blount and Isaiah Crowell. Then you just have really 2 or 3 guys like Bilal Powell, James White, Elijah McGuire, Deion Lewis, Thomas Rawls, like just kind of going down like that. Oh, yeah.
I said Nick Chubb, I believe, for the Patriots. It's Sony Michel, who was drafted by the Patriots.
You said Nick Berrios. So you mixed Braxton Berrios.
You meant Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, I know. No. He mixed Nick Chubb and Braxton. I heard it. I just didn't acknowledge. I heard you said.
No. I was talking about the white. No, that was different. I said for the running back, I said Nick Chubb. It's Sony Michel. And he said an underrated target for the Patriots. I thought he was talking about people on their roster. I was talking about Chris Berrios, wide receiver from Miami. I don't know if you guys remember.
It's Braxton. It's not Chris.
His name's Braxton?
Yeah, Braxton Berrios.
Really? What?
Yes. Braxton Berrios.
Our draft expert here didn't know that.
All throughout the season. What is going on?
Oh, Jesus, Kyle. All right, let's go. Paulie, I want to hear your running back rankings.
Running back, I'm going to go 1 Buffalo.
What the hell? I can't believe I had that way off.
Kyle, stop.
What is going on?
I know, he's cutting you off. Paulie, sorry. Continue with your rankings.
All right. So 1 is Buffalo. 2 is New England. 3 is the Jets. And 4 is the Dolphins right now because they've got Frank Gore there, which that is the typical Mike Tannenbaum signing. Gore is amazing. But he's another year older, and I always got him, and he always goes out there and produces. But right now, until their backfield shapes out, I prefer James White to any of the running backs on the Jets roster. That's a fact. He's a proven back in this league, and he's really good. And with Sony Michel also in New England, that 1-2 punch may be very scary, and especially with what New England wants to do. So I'd go, like I said, 1 Buffalo, 2 New England, 3 Jets, and 4 Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think, but I do like this Jets running back core, and I think the guy that nobody's talking about that I think could really make the roster, make an impact, is Thomas Rawls. I think he's just one of those guys that is either just not going to make the roster, or he is and is going to make an impact. It seems like he's kind of battling with Trenton Cannon right now. Because I think the Jets will carry a 4th running back, but it's like, okay, Cannon is a rookie. but he's a 7th rounder. But he brings you some kick returning, ability. But then the negative is 1, as I said, 7th rounder, and 2, comes from a no-name school. Thomas Rawls was a guy who wasn't viewed as an up-and-coming starting running back for Seattle right when Marshawn Lynch left. It's just he's struggled with injuries. So I wonder if
I have a rule with Thomas Rawls. Anytime he makes a good play, he went to the University of Michigan, and anytime he makes a bad play, he went to was it Central Michigan? No, because he transferred. Central Michigan.
I think it was Central Michigan. Yeah. You just zone him. Wow.
He was actually a fullback at Michigan, and he played 3 or 4 years. And then he transferred, and so that's my rule. So he's a Wolverine when he makes a good play, but he went to Central Michigan when he makes a bad play. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and when we get through training camp, we'll probably do more of this. But my prediction right now, as far as that running back thing plays out, is I think if Trenton Cannon loses the kick returning, spot, if they like somebody else better there, maybe our Darrius Stewart wins it or Andre Roberts or whoever, I think they'd keep Thomas Rawls and then just put Trenton Cannon on the practice squad. Because I think the only way Trenton Cannon makes the roster is if he's the starting kick returner. If he wins
I think Cannon is a 100% practice squad guy, at least in year 1.
Yeah, but then it's like, well, then who's kick returning?
Lucky Whitehead.
You've got Whitehead, you've got Andre Roberts, you've got our Darrius Stewart, which I'm interested to see. I do think that, and everybody's down on our Darrius Stewart, but I do think that Jeremy Bates may use him a little bit more than he was used last year.
Yeah, for sure.
People think I'm crazy, but I do think our Darrius Stewart can make plays in this league, and I think he will be an asset. I would like to see him with the ball in his hands a little bit more. Maybe do some different things. Maybe line up in the backfield. Maybe in an offset with Powell in the backfield or Crowell in the backfield. Catch some passes out of there and get the ball in his hands because he was a playmaker in college. He played in the best conference in college football, and he is a good football player. So I think they need to utilize him. I know a lot of people are down on him, like I said, but again, a lot of people give up on rookies after 1 season of barely playing. So I have a 3-year rule. I agree everybody should have a 3-year rule, but that's when I give up.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Stewart can make an impact, and I think he's going to fit really well into Bates' system. I liked him coming out of college. I would have taken Chris Godwin, who ended up going 9 picks later to Tampa. I was tweeting him out a lot, and I will admit, though, so I'll humble myself as I'm hyping myself up. Part of it was because, he played with Hackenberg. Maybe got that Hack-Godwin connection. So I was right about the player, wrong about the reason. That's how we do it on the Jet Take. We balance each other out. But no, I think he can make an impact. And I think there's always a kind of a spot for a tough physical receiver like that. I think they're going to either carry, a 7th receiver or a 4th running back as far as the kick returning spot goes. Okay, we'll fly through the back end of this. Okay, we'll start wide receiver. How would you rank these?
This one is interesting. And I'm not being biased here, but I think right now that the Jets have the best wide receiving core in the division.
Yeah,
100%.
Now, here's the thing, though. The way tight ends play nowadays, are they kind of more of a wide receiver? So then that kind of raises up New England a little bit because of Gronk. And I do think Edelman.
We'll factor in tight ends.
I'm crazy. Yeah. So we'll just kind of bunch them in together. So I'll put New England at 2, but it's a close 2. Maybe it's 1B because I am as a Jets fan, obviously, I have some Jets bias, but Edelman is a special receiver, whether people want to admit it or not. People just, the white wide receiver from New England. But there's things that he does on that team. There's things that he does for New England that are missed. I mean, let's be realistic. Amendola was great for the Patriots last year, but the Patriots in the Super Bowl, when they won their Super Bowl, who made the game-winning catch? Edelman. Edelman and Brady have a relationship.
Didn't he also drop
one?
Edelman? Like a big Super Bowl catch?
That was Wes Welker.
No, that's Wes Welker.
No, that was Welker. So you're getting all your white guys confused. But it's just Edelman.
Listen, white bread is white bread.
So I just, and then it's everybody else because the Bills wide receivers are awful, and the Dolphins wide receivers right now are interchangeable. I mean, Robbie Anderson had 7 touchdowns last year. Devontae Parker has 8 in his career. So, I mean, the Jets wide receiving core, while everybody says they have no weapons, And a lot of people who are down on Terrelle Pryor, I do think he is going to make an impact on this roster this season.
Do I have a hot take?
I really
for
do.
you?
I really do.
If you're ready for Kyle's worst take, then Rodgers is the GOAT and Brady's second. Just wait till you hear this take. And I'm a Terrelle Pryor fan, and I agree that I think he'll make an impact. But just listen to Kyle's take on Terrelle Pryor.
All right, you ready?
I'm scared, actually.
Okay. Not only is Terrelle Pryor the best overall wide receiver on this roster, he's the fourth best player
on the team.
Oh, my God.
He thinks he's the fourth best player on the team.
Yeah.
Honestly, just discredits the entire podcast.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Was that a door shutting? Because that makes sense.
I threw my phone on the desk.
Oh, it sounded like a door shut. Okay.
Yeah, it frustrates me.
Ben just got curved again, so he had to.
Yeah, no, that was bad. I think Pryor is good. I think he will make an impact on this team. But he's not the fourth best player on this Jets team. Not at all.
All right,
I don't even think he might be the 11th, maybe.
Jeez, it's definitely his worst take, and he's at play. I mean, he said Garrett Grayson was the next Peyton Manning. That's when I met him. That was the first.
No.
That was the first take I ever heard.
You're clearly misconstruing that, and you're just going to continue.
Please
to do it.
Explain it. Explain what was your take there?
I said that he reminded me a lot of Peyton Manning in build and mechanics.
That's just not what you said at all. I remember it. You're like, I think he's kind of got a lot of Peyton Manning in him. I remember you saying that. All right, Paulie, we'll close it on this. Kind of a fun question. I'll give Kyle credit for this topic. I want a Mount Rushmore of Jets running backs. So pick 4 Jets running backs of all time, put them on a mountain, how you would do it, and then we'll get out of here. Or we'll kick you off, so, I guess, for blast.
Being only 30, I didn't get to see the older running backs. But for me, a Mount Rushmore of Jets running backs, Curtis Martin, Thomas Jones.
Comanche.
Let's see. I'm trying to keep true to me because I can't mention guys that people have told me about, but I never actually saw play. So for me, it's
that discredits our entire podcast.
Curtis Martin, Thomas Jones. I was a huge Curtis Martin fan. So this is hard because you want to know what you think of guys. You think of guys like Leon Washington, but he doesn't belong on there. But he was a great player. So, I don't know. I really don't know because when I'm thinking of my time frame of playing, of watching, I just remember Curtis. I remember Thomas Jones. And then the running backs before me, I never really saw play.
Yeah.
So
I barely saw Martin play. I saw Martin play for a year or two.
Yeah. See, so I feel like I would discredit myself if I put guys on there that I didn't actually see play. I know people have told me about them, but I can't pick 2 others because Curtis Martin, Thomas Jones. I was a huge Lamont Jordan fan, but I wouldn't put him on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I looked up our rushing leaders because I there are names that are floating in the back of my head like Emerson Boozer.
You know what?
I'll
throw LaDainian Tomlinson on there because LaDainian Tomlinson was amazing. So I'll throw him on there because it was a pleasure to watch him play for the Jets. He wanted to play here. But it's a tough position because, for the longest time, we lacked skill position players, for so many years over the last, 10 years. So, it was a joy to watch Curtis Martin and Thomas Jones kind of back-to-back there, So it was, that's what I've seen. There was
Sean
guys
Green.
that – yeah, Sean Green. Yeah,
hey, don't take my
Hey, you know what? I might just put him on there for the sleepy time touchdown against the Patriots in the playoffs.
That moves him up significantly. So going off of that was the guys you saw. I'll add some names that statistically it seems like they probably should be. Curtis is obviously on there.
As soon as you say a name, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, because I'm drawing a blank for him.
Oh, these names popped in the back of my head, but you're right. I didn't watch them, so can I really make? We'll have Scott on. He's the history buff here, so we'll bring him on and he can have his thing in a bit. But Freeman McNeil obviously should probably make it second leading rusher.
Freeman McNeil should absolutely be on the list, but I can't put him there.
8,000 rushing yards for the Jets compared to 10,000 for Curtis Martin and 38 touchdowns. That's pretty good. Yep. And then Emerson Boozer had 52 touchdowns. Curtis Martin had 58.
Yeah.
So he was actually really close to him in touchdowns, and then had 5,000 yards. So I think Boozer should probably on it. And then that last spot is kind of a toss-up. I'd probably go Matt Snell just because of his Super Bowl performance.
Exactly.
But it's like, did I watch Matt Snell? No.
Yeah, exactly. But
you could even throw Adrian Morrell there.
Yeah, those
John
are the guys
Higgins,
you're going to put on there.
We
had
Adrian on the show, right?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like my buddy Alan Lerner will probably kill me because I didn't put those older guys on there. But I didn't see him, so I can't put him on there.
Yeah, Bilal Powell is the 11th best rusher.
Yeah, he's going to be on mine.
And he barely gets the ball.
Yeah, he's barely touched the ball at all. But yeah, and then next, so if you wanted to know leading rushers, it goes Martin McNeil, Boozer, Snell, then Johnny Hector at 5, John Riggins at 6, Thomas Jones at 7, Bill Mathis at 8, Adrian Morrell at 9, Sean Green at 10, and then Bilal at 11.
John Riggins, like if he would have stayed,
definitely he'd be on it.
He would have been second to Curtis Martin.
Yeah, if he would have stayed, yeah, for sure. But
bastard.
I'll tell you who the number one wide receiver is all time, and that doesn't need it's Wayne Corbett. I don't care what anybody says.
Just automatically Wayne Corbett. Don't even consider. I'd probably go Wayne. I'd probably go Wayne as well. I'll go.
I consider nobody else. I don't care. That's my biased opinion.
Yeah, it's hard for me to make John
Maynard.
A lot of guys I didn't watch. Maynard would be the guy that again I didn't watch.
I don't even care.
I like Keyshawn a lot, but then
George Sauer, Brandon Marshall.
Maynard is up. Wesley Walker.
Do not ever put Brandon Marshall on a list with Wayne Corbett. Just don't do it.
All right, for the sake of fun, we'll do this quickly because we got to move on shortly. But Paul, I want your Mount Rushmore receivers.
No, that's for another episode. We got people content.
You're gonna have to listen. You guys only got to pay. You guys got to Venmo me more money because you've done my time.
All right. Well, Paulie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really quickly, just plug your social media and then anything else you'd like to plug in anticipation for your podcast's premiere in a month. Yeah. So if you want to follow my personal account, it's at Paulie_Bruise PAULIE _BRUZ. The podcast, which again, What's Your Point? Myself, Delvin Alsario, will be hosting a friendly, I guess it might get a little heated at times, but friendly debate podcast coming to the TOJ Digital. It's going to be called What's Your Point? Like I said, it's TOJ_WYP. Always up for Jets talk, tons of other stuff. But I don't fill up your timeline with all the other stuff that all your timelines are filled up with. So I keep it sports for the most part and pop culture and a lot of wrestling. So, if you want to follow me and interact, choose to do so at your own willingness. All right. Well, Paulie, thank you so much for calling in, man. Yeah, guys, have a good one. Thanks for coming on. All right. I guess we'll do a position group an episode. I guess a training camp. Yeah. But, and just random topics. Pretty much. Mount Rushmore. We do have some single seasons. We do have some guests in the coming weeks. I know I've said that quite a few times, but actually, Jim Coburn, analytical guy, is coming on. Has his own website. Does a lot of great work, and so he's a guy that I've read a lot. I like a lot of his stuff, and he's one of those guys that when you read or watch or listen to, you just get smarter about the game of football. So he'll be on next week doing some analytics on some of the guys the Jets added this offseason and some of the pieces, and we'll just talk some Jets football. So he's on next week. After that, I'm expecting to have somebody else on, but I can't confirm it because it's not official yet. And then I also have somebody for that next week that I'm excited to bring on as well, similar to Jim Coburn. Okay, so let's, I guess, move forward with Alex, our next caller of the night. That was a long call with Paulie. That was nearly an hour. It went by really fast. You talked for maybe 15 minutes, though. Like the entire, straight. All of a sudden I looked back at my clock. I was like, Jesus, it's 8:30 your time. I adjusted it. It's 5:30 for me. But I was like, damn. Thank you. Kyle getting on the. Well, I'm taking a more serious tone. If you noticed, then I changed my
profile picture on Twitter.
Yeah, you now don't look like
Santa
Claus.
East Atlanta Santa. Shout out Gucci Man 1017. Run it.
I was going to say Gucci Man, but I didn't want to, mess up and then
white it up.
No, I didn't want to get it wrong and then brand myself as.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Gucci Man. I had it. I was right. I knew I was right, but I didn't want to say it.
You can say Gucci Man, Gucci May, Gucci, Guwap.
No, I was gonna say his name. That wasn't. I was concerned that you were gonna be like, no, that's
wrong.
Lil Wayne or something. I don't know anybody. And I'd be like, damn, I look stupid. So I just didn't say it. But I was there though.
Show topics. Close. I got. I sent you a reminder to send a tweet out.
I woke up literally 15 minutes before the show.
Yeah, Ben. I'm an early riser and grinder, man. There's just no. That's the difference between me and you.
Really?
Yeah, I wake up.
What time do you get up? I feel like I've texted you at like 7 my time, and you haven't responded. You haven't been up.
7 your time, a.m. or p.m.?
A.m.
Oh, yeah, that would be 10 a.m. my time.
So you're an early riser at 10:30.
We're talking about the summer.
Yeah.
I don't have to wake up for an 8 o'clock job or anything. Usually not. Sometimes I get a 7 o'clock shift.
Let's bring on Alex. Let's bring on Alex. Okay. Alex, you were on the line. It's been a while. But we're back, Alex, talking with some callers. So, Alex, how's it going, man?
Hey, guys, what's going on? Good to hear that you guys are back in action.
I think this might be the 6th time we've taken a break and coming back after. This one was only like 2 weeks, though.
We're Ross and Rachel of TOJ. I just realized that.
We are definitely Ross and Rachel. We are definitely the Ross and Rachel of TOJ.
I'm Rachel.
It was only like 2 weeks, and to be fair, it was June. There's just nothing.
We
did record a show, but I made the executive decision that it was just not good enough. I was like, this is just boring. It's not good.
Even though he let me upload it to Libsyn and stuff and prep it and stuff like that.
Fair, Kyle, you just press the upload. You don't even fill out the bio anymore. Okay, whatever. Anyways, Kyle, would you agree it wasn't great?
Bullshit.
I'll take a photo of the bios you write.
Okay,
we'll see.
Okay, short and simple, man. You should know. It's like your love life.
Yes, but we are back. Should be for a considerable amount of time. As the news is starting to pick up.
That's come back since Kim Kardashian.
Yes. I said the best return since, better than LeBron, better than Revis. But I like your comeback Kardashian joke, although it's taken straight from Parks and Rec. But whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Alex. Let's get into it.
Ben, you're taking straight from a Joseph A. Banks catalog. I don't want to hear anything about taking straight from.
I'm taking straight from a what type of comeback was that? That was the worst comeback. Literally, I cannot believe you just said that. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody say. That just beats your Terrelle Pryor thing. Wow.
No, that was pretty solid we got a laugh out of it. No, it was solid.
We're laughing at how bad it is. Okay, sorry, Alex. Let's do some predictions here. Did I just hear a boo?
No.
I think you just booed it. Well, let's do some minor predictions, just kind of some things in the future to talk about and see, how you think these Jets will play out. And so I guess we'll start with the first one, which is about Todd Bowles. Will Todd Bowles be the coach in 2020? Your thoughts?
In 2020?
Yes.
I believe so. I think after the extension and the no playoff mandate, during the rebuild, I think it's pretty obvious that they're happy with the people that they have in their office. And, I think at this point in time, with the things that they've been doing, the team that they've been building, to just, pull the plug on the head coach after a couple of years, I just don't think that put us, a step back rather than moving forward, as we've been trying to do. So I think that there's a strong possibility that, he plays through his contract and, everything is pretty much in the hands of Sam Darnold and his success at this point. So, if Darnold takes the keys and he shows that, he can be the franchise quarterback that we're all hoping, I don't see any reason why they would, want to mix things up in the office again and change the whole, scheme that we've been doing the last few years.
Yeah, the thing that you said, though, that I don't know if I completely agree with was just kind of about the rebuild. In 2020, don't you think the Jets should be competing for a playoff spot by then? Because I understand, okay, he gets a pass for 2018, But I almost think he doesn't get a pass for 20. So this question says, so 2018, that season, and then 2019, that season, and so then it's saying, will he be the coach for the 2020 season? So that's 2 seasons from now. I don't know. I think going into 2020, if it's not clear that he's kind of gotten out of the rebuilding phase, even if they don't make because they're not expected to make the playoffs in 2018, there will be some sort of, I mean, it depends how 2018 goes, but there will be some sort of expectation to make it in 2019, at least for the first time since 2016 to have some sort of, even though it won't be universal and they'll come out again. So there's no playoff mandate, but they'll move themselves, hopefully, after this season into picking in the teens or whatnot in the draft. I mean, we can talk about that later, whether maybe it's better for them to pick top of the draft again, but I'm expecting them to be picking, around probably, 14 or 15. I mean, I don't know if I'm being generous, Kyle. You can give your thoughts. And then another season, and if it's not clear that they're closer to a playoff spot, I mean, if they just get snubbed, if they have another 2015, even then that game was pretty bad, Week 17. But let's hope they don't have one of those. Let's say they just get snubbed, based off AFC wins and whatnot. They have 9 wins or so. They get snubbed. I can understand him being there, not making the playoffs. But I almost think they need to be out of the rebuild by then. They're out of the rebuild after this season, for sure. It was a 3-year plan. It was blow it up, get the quarterback, surround the quarterback with weapons. The Jets have the most cap space in the league next year. I don't know, Alex. I think if he's I also think he'll be there because I think they will do well in 2019. So that's kind of mine. So we agree on that, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to get a pass. I think unless they get over, let me rephrase this. I think if they have to get over 8 wins in 2019. I think I have to say that. They have to do better than 500. Kyle, would you agree with that?
By 2019?
So we're saying, will Todd Bowles be the coach in 2020? So that's 2 seasons from now. I'm saying I agree with Alex. There's not a playoff mandate for this year. As Paulie said, it's all about Sam Darnold. So hopefully he does well, and as I said, hopefully they're picking in the teens, 13, 14, 15. And then they have 2019. And then after that season, will the Jets make the decision to fire him? We don't know what's going to happen. Just kind of prediction off what we've seen. And he said, and we agree that he will be the coach, but he's saying, there's not really a playoff mandate. This rebuild takes time. And I'm saying, I don't know, by 2019, I think they should be out of the rebuild, even if they don't make the playoffs. I said they should probably have an 8-win mandate for him. And there's a good 8 wins and there's a bad 8 wins, but an 8-win mandate, I feel like is probably fair to say in 2019. That'll mean he's been the coach for what? So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Was that 5 years? Did I just mess it up? Yeah, no, it's 5 years. So he'll be going into the 6th season. I don't know.
This year, I think he gets out with, no blood on his hands. He is, free of any crime, basically, because he has a young quarterback who should start more than 8 games, and overall a young roster who is still being put together, in a couple key spots. So I think this year he has an excuse. Next year, or following next offseason, where we have spent the majority of our $100 million and probably a top 15 pick in the first round, you have to make the playoffs. Like, for me, as a general manager, if I've given you 2 consecutive seasons of $100 million, hopefully well spent. I think it will be well spent. I'm not going to say it's already well spent because we haven't seen those guys take snaps yet. But money well spent, picks correctly made, and you're not producing, and there's a problem. I think the real key here for Todd Bowles is how the defense specifically is going to produce this year. I think he's going to be fine regardless of what happens this year because I feel like he just can't get fired with everything going on. But, if that defense is pitiful with all the talent we have, it's Todd Bowles' fault. They may fire Casey Rogers at the end of the year, but it's Todd Bowles' scheme. It's, his guys who he's handpicked. And if they're not performing like they're supposed to, or he's not getting the most out of them, then he's going to have to go. I love consistency. It's great, but I love winning more. So if we got to get rid of Todd Bowles eventually, whatever. We got to do it. Right now, he's good for this year. I think he has to make the playoffs 2019. Because by then, Sam Darnold's going to be starting. Robbie Anderson's going to be entering, his 3rd, 4th year? What is it going to be, 4th year?
Sorry, what's your question? By
2019, that would be Robbie's 4th year, right?
Yeah, it'll be his 4th year.
Quincy's 5th or 6th. I mean, those guys are going to be in their prime. We'll have weapons. Sam Darnold will be in his 2nd year, and, he should be a starter by then, a high-level starter by then. there will be no excuse.
Yeah. All right, Alex, moving forward, kind of a similar question. Will the Jets make the playoffs in the next 3 years? So that's 2018, 2019, 2020.
I believe so. If I had to put my money on it, I'd probably say 2020 would be that season. And I think that would be the reason why, Todd Bowles would probably get a second extension as a coach, because I feel like the collateral damage of getting rid of him, I think Casey Rogers would go. Then you talk about Denard Wilson and also the defensive line coach and whomever, the new head coach coming in. You have no idea if he's going to be comfortable. Let's say if it's an offensive-minded coach and he doesn't agree with Jeremy Bates, then you have to remix that as well. So I kind of feel that you could almost stunt Sam Darnold's growth, by shuffling the deck in the front office, when he's supposed to be hitting his stride. And like you guys said, we have over $100 million going into next year. So rounding out the roster is definitely the game plan, and filling in the big pieces, at offensive line, at edge rusher, possibly another, cover corner or a linebacker to, work into the mix with the guys that we have in the fold right now. So, yeah, I think 2020 would definitely be reasonable because, next year's draft is, extremely talented with, offensive linemen and edge players and also, wide receivers. So, even though we don't have a lot of premium picks, I do feel that in the 2019 offseason, 2019 draft, I think that's going to be a really, really pivotal season because those will be the players where we're looking to maximize our roster and our potential, on both sides of the ball so that we can make that playoff run and hopefully, begin the trend of being a team that other teams will, be saying, oh, crap, we got to face Sam Darnold and the Jets, come this week or come that week. And, we know that they're contenders. So I think 2020 would definitely be the money year for us.
Hey, Kyle, do you have any thoughts on this? Or?
I think the Jets are going to be playoff contenders this year. I think we'll probably get anywhere from 7 to 10 wins, just give or take on, people who get injured, how teams, work out. I mean, there's always a couple teams every year that look great before the season starts, and then for one reason or another, it just doesn't work out for them. And then, at the same time, to balance it out, there are teams who we think are going to be, average and then go on to win the Super Bowl like the Eagles did last year. I think the Jets have the talent to get 7 to 10 wins this year because we've improved from the 5-win team last year from top to bottom at almost every position. We have a number 1 corner. We have better quarterbacks. We have, I want to say, more talent at wide receiver. Quincy Enunwa, Terrelle Pryor, hopefully an emergence of Chad Hansen or Darrius Stewart more on the offense. The O-line healthier, blah, blah, blah. We've been over it already. You guys know the ins and outs of this. So I think we're going to improve win-wise. I think Todd Bowles is a little bit smarter as a head coach, maybe just strategy, learning on the job, getting things down, getting more players that he wants. I don't think people realize, how much Todd Bowles' system depends on a great corner. You look at what he had in Arizona with Patrick Peterson, who was in his prime. I know Pat Pete's taken a little bit of a decline. He's still probably a top 10 corner in the NFL, give or take the week. He's still a good corner, bottom line. Now he has Tremaine Johnson, who, in my opinion, probably number 7, 6 corner in the NFL, give or take the week, just depending on, what's going on with injuries and stuff, because corners are susceptible to ankles and hamstrings that could really affect them. Todd Bowles having a true number 1 corner makes his defense so much versatile. You see what they've been trying to do for years with physical safeties who try to rush the passer, who try to drop in the coverage and just use them as the H-back of the defense, as a way to put it. What we did with Quincy Enunwa on offense with the Chan Gailey year is what Todd Bowles tries to do with, guys like Jamal Adams and what he tried to do with Calvin Pryor. Put them in the box, stack them up. They can cover, they can rush, they can move around, they can create, just worry in the quarterback's mind. And he can rely on that and be able to do that. Take a guy out of coverage because he knows he has a number 1 corner over there who can do his job. And we really haven't had that in a long time. Morris Claiborne last year kind of did it from week to week. And I think a game like the Miami game is when the defense shined, they got takeaways. Morris Claiborne played well. Jamal Adams gets sacks, forced fumbles. Teams coexist within each other. And it's all because of scheme. So I think this defense is going to be a lot better just from the addition of one player. And then the whole D-line got better, the linebacker depth got better, I think the secondary in whole got better, and the overall team got better. So I think the Jets this year are going to be playoff contenders, in some way or another. I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs. We might end up with 7 or 8 wins and be mediocre by NFL standards. But I'll tell you the Jets are going to be in the hunt until about week 13, 14. Maybe even later, depending on how the schedule breaks out. But I think the Jets should definitely be in the playoffs by next year. I mean, you have your quarterback. A good quarterback makes up for a lot of flaws. You look at the teams every year consistently. Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers was hurt last year, but, usually in the playoffs. The top 5 or 6 quarterbacks are always there for a reason, despite what the rest of their team is looking like. And I think Sam Darnold will be on at least the level of Matt Ryan and Cam Newton in the next couple of years. So, I think the Jets will be in the playoffs pretty soon. I think it's going to be sooner than people think.
Yeah, I think all good points. All right, Alex, last one for you. I think, as we kind of talked about with Paulie, the weapons have been a big point of, a big point of weakness on the Jets roster. People are pointing to it as, look, these guys are inexperienced, injury-prone, getting off field trouble. They're not going to help Darnold out, and they're really going to need to add some big-time weapons in 2019. So I say to you, will Quincy Enunwa and Robbie Anderson be the Jets starting wide receivers in 2019? So after this season, will the dynamic duo, because they haven't really played together since 2016, and then 2016 Robbie Anderson wasn't really the player that he was. It was in 2017 because obviously he was hurt by Ryan Fitzpatrick's noodle arms. Then the biggest thing that he was great at, he wasn't able to get it done because Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't hit him. So we haven't really seen the duo in action. But will you say that Enunwa and Anderson will be the Jets' 1-2 punch again in 2019?
I think that's a strong possibility of that happening. And I really think that out of that group, with a lot of unknown potential, because, when everybody looks at everything on paper, besides Terrelle Pryor, you don't have another wide receiver that's broken over 1,000 yards. And, I know everyone says that's because McCown got hurt and Curse and Anderson could have easily, broken over 1,000 had McCown been healthy. So I understand that argument completely. But when you look at it, like guys like you guys were talking about Stewart before and Chad Hansen, I really think that one of those two guys are going to make big strides this year, and my money's on Hansen. And I think that going into 2019, you'll be talking about Quincy, Anderson, and Hansen being the top 3 guys. And, who knows which veteran it's going to be that's going to be, remaining with this core. If Jermaine Kearse puts up another solid season, he seems to be a positive influence to our offense. And, he's definitely taking a chip on his shoulder this year with all the talk and smack talk that, people have made about their wide receiver group. So who knows? Maybe he's in the mix next year too. I'm not sure if Pryor's going to be here, being that he's getting up there in age and always seems to be a little banged up and injured. But I definitely feel that going into 2019, we can feel better about Hansen. Should be completely have the training wheels off, and he should be comfortable with the offense. And like you said, Quincy's going to be in his prime. If Robbie Anderson can keep those, butt out of trouble, I don't see any reasons why this can't be one of the more, under the radar sleeper type of wide receiver groups going into this year and next year.
Cal, your thoughts?
Gonna be honest. Scrolling through Twitter. Didn't hear the question.
Literally every show, at least 2 or 3 times. Anderson and Enunwa, will they be the 2 starting receivers in 2019?
I don't know what Quincy's contract situation is looking like. He was a restricted free agent who signed his tender this year, right?
Yes.
Okay, so where does that put him for next year? Because I don't know off the top of my head.
So let's say he lights it up, the Jets could put the franchise tag on him.
Okay. Yeah.
So they still could. I mean, it's not like the Jets are in the position of losing him. If he's good, he'll be on the team. And I think he'll be on the team regardless, based off of last year, because you could still make the argument, well, he wasn't fully healthy, so even if he gets a lower deal, I think ignore the contract. I think he'll be on the team in 2019. I don't think we really have to worry about that. Even if he's bad, my point will be that I think people will still look at that 2016 season and say, you know what, he was recovering from that injury, give him another chance. So just ignore the contract.
Yeah, I think they'll be starters, presuming Robbie doesn't, follow through with what he promised on the cop's wife. I think they'll both be the starters.
Expert analysis there from Kyle Fahey. Well, Alex, thank you so much for calling in.
What the hell else do you want me to say, Ben?
No, Alex did it all.
Oh, okay.
that was being funny. I laughed. I thought it was funny. Alex, thank you so much for calling in, man. Really quickly, shout out your Twitter, social media, so our listeners can shoot you a follow.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me on again. Always a pleasure. And you could follow me at Rufio187.
All right, sweet. Thank you, man.
Thanks for being on, Alex.
Later, fellas.
All right. I'm surprised you didn't make a shoot joke when I said shoot you a follow. Coming off the Robbie Anderson comment, I didn't know.
I'm going to be honest, it slipped past me.
Was an opportunity, though, for sure.
I feel like that one, though, I try to,
No, you don't want the obvious ones. You want the clever ones. I feel like that one was a little less obvious.
See, the first thing I thought when you said shoot was the dance. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
Inside the look of Kyle Fahey's mind. All right, let's close this show out here on a high note. Everybody's favorite caller.
Oh.
Except Kyle's, I guess, sometimes, because they butt heads sometimes. But, my boxing trainer.
I don't know who my favorite caller is. I think me and Greg have great chemistry, but he doesn't call in often.
That's a good point. All right. Time to bring on my boxing trainer, Jets history buff.
How's that going, by the way?
Are you preparing, or?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. All right. I mean, you got to make your way up to Syracuse, bro.
I thought it was pre-established we're doing it next year's TOJ draft party.
Yeah, I'll be on the East Coast, so I'll be there. I'll find a way to get there.
Okay.
So wherever that East Coast, it'll be up, New York. Where is it? Maryland? Doing D.C. because that's where I live, or
what? No, it's going to be in New York.
I don't know where the draft party is. Okay.
Why would it be in Maryland?
Because I don't want to give out anybody's locations here, but quite a few people live in D.C.
DA and Malfa are the only ones who are D.C. located. Okay.
Scott.
But Joe, the king of Jets Twitter, the owner of Turn on the Jets, and the person who's renting the venue.
Anyways, let's go. All right, Scott Mason on the line here, host of the Play Like a Jet podcast. Scott, welcome to the show, man.
It's been almost a month since I heard the two of you bickering like a married couple. I don't know what I've been doing with my life for the last month. What's going on, boys?
You sound like Stephen Hawking right now.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you glitched there a bit, but
you glitched
I
a
caught
lot.
what you said. That wasn't Scott, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, boy.
You're clear, and then you kind of I don't know if you can move rooms or something. Maybe is it on my side? Or?
No, I'm hearing it too.
You guys hear me now?
Not. I mean, we can hear you. It just is not pleasant to the ears.
You sound
I know what you're saying. You said, "Can you hear us now?" But it's can you hear it now? It's like that.
Huh, interesting. Still bad?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna hang up and call back in. All right. Try that. We'll see if that's better. Okay.
Okay, you got it. I'll call back in 2 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
Or just call back in now. All right. I had to unlock the conference.
He sounded like Stephen Hawking.
Oh boy, Kyle. I just hope you don't ever become a politician. And then somebody's gonna just say, "Hey, what's this podcast you said? That's kind of cool." And then just start listening to it, and then just, oh boy.
Stephen Hawking's dead. I don't really care.
Okay.
It's a joke.
You're such a rebel. Such a rebel.
You just call me a thug?
Yeah. You're so cool, bro.
Do you know what a thug is?
Kyle Fahey, obviously.
All right, that was a good one.
Have you seen his new profile picture?
Honestly, jawline's popping, dog. I don't know why you're hating.
I'm kidding. It's a good look. You look good, bro.
Thank you.
Good.
I went for the douchebag look.
Do you get tan? I mean, if you live in Florida, like, do you tan or do you just burn?
I am Irish. I'm currently tan. No, I am as white bread as it gets. Like, when they take me out the oven, I still look white, but, like, I've just been going to the beach every day for the past 2 weeks instead of, like, doing anything for TOJ. I kind of look like Ronnie from Jersey Shore right now, you know, minus the pending legal issues involving him. I'm looking good right now.
All right, I like it.
Our boxing match, I'm going to be closer to Floyd Mayweather than Conor McGregor. I promise you.
I didn't think we were doing it, but now, I think I'm in better shape than you, but I think you might have some side. Okay, is this Scott or is this somebody else?
I don't know.
Might be Scott.
Just answer it. It might be a spam call.
516, you're on the line.
I think that's a Maryland number.
Yeah, it's me, boys.
Oh,
he's calling from a different phone.
Good. You look much better. Oh my God. Okay, just give your exact same, whatever you said at the start. You said something about his bickering. You heard us in a month?
Yeah, I just said it's been a whole month since I have heard you boys bickering like a married couple. What's going on?
It's not been a month. It has not been a month, has it? No, it hasn't. No, it has not.
We
been
were
a month,
on a break.
No, because we had a show. We had a show on the 6th. And then we recorded one on the 13th, but it was not good. And Kyle was having mic issues, and it was cutting out, and it was like short.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you know what? We're just going to scrap that one. And it was boring. And then the 20th, we didn't record one because we were like, you know what, let's just – I was gone.
I was giving my respects to my dead grandfather that day, and I forgot it was Wednesday. And Ben didn't remind me, so I just didn't – I guess I'll have to take the blame for that one.
No,
I know I said this privately, but my condolences, sir.
Thank you.
Can we make this podcast any more awkward?
We can. Do you want to try?
Hey, my condolences to you as well. Was it? Okay.
Hey, you didn't wish death on this one, Ben, which is good.
I didn't wish death on anybody. You may or may not have wished death on your dog once. But to be fair, I wouldn't say I wish death upon it. I just said, when is it going to die?
It was
because
like the dog was
wasn't wishing. No, it was because you kept saying we're putting. No, you said we're putting her down next month, and you said that to me for a year and a half, and then I just said, when are you actually doing it?
You know how hard it is to let go of your childhood best friend?
Okay, Jesus, don't make it depressing. I love Sierra, but she would bring her into the room and just have her next to you, and you wouldn't move her because for God knows what reason
she couldn't walk
or see or hear. And so she'd just be into the mic like Ben, it was ruined. We had interviews on, and I just oh God.
You're criticizing the dog who was getting eaten alive by an undiagnosed disease, couldn't walk, was 14 when you met her. The dog was a damn trooper, and you tried to
see or hear either. Or, move.
She couldn't see too well anymore. And she also had a bladder
She was very
infection.
cute, but it was, okay, sorry. I did not
She's still my screensaver.
Oh, that's cute. Are you going to get another dog? Okay, let's bring it back.
No, because I'm going to college, and my dad doesn't want to get one. So
I see. All right. Scott, let's talk some Jets football here. I guess we'll open it up with...
Scott, how about your animals? Has Ben wished death on them?
Not that I'm aware of, so let's hope he doesn't.
Have any
wait. I think he was talking crap about your cat that one time.
Do you have a cat? I didn't even know he had a cat.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
Ben, you know damn well he has a cat. I'm remembering this conversation.
I actually did.
My cat loves to get involved in podcasts.
Yeah, he's the pop filter for you, right? He rubs against your mic.
Okay, Scott, I want your most embarrassing podcast story. I have one.
There wasn't really anything embarrassing. I mean, there have been times where at my old setup, I mean, now I set up like a little studio, but before I used to have it set up where I was sitting on the floor when I was recording, and a couple times I'd be in the middle of recording, and my cat would either jump on top of my notes that I was using to record an interview, or sometimes he would just flat out just jump into my lap. So, if my legs would cramp up and I would go to stretch, I couldn't move because he was, sitting on my lap. So that would happen a couple times, but it didn't ever mess up any of the podcasts.
Scott, easy solution for you. Easy solution. Ready?
Go for it.
chuck it. Cats always land on their feet.
I was hoping for more of a clever response there. And
I was
hoping for
like
something cool.
I was
like,
trying to think about it. I was like, I don't want to wish death upon it.
You know, buy a dog or something like that would have been.
No, I feel like that. I feel like that.
Well, the solution ended up being that the solution ended up being that I built a little studio, and now everything is on top of a desk, and so it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I mean it was nothing, no big deal. It was just kind of funny.
On a floor. You really worked your way up from the ground up. I guess mine
literally
would be the old AFC East Bros podcast with I called into it with Kyle and Gary Smith. There are plenty of stories from that show. Gary and I used to get into it all the time. Do you remember that? This is my show. This is my show.
You got. Oh, shout out to Gary, by the way. I didn't go to his wedding, but I heard.
I like it. Gary and I used to get in debates all the time. But I had a glass of water.
Gary and Kyle hate you.
I don't know, whatever. Kyle's not hating me, but okay, we had a glass.
I have it on good authority that Kyle Smith does not hate Ben.
Thank you.
He just strongly dislikes him and thinks that his opinions are bullcrap.
Okay, whatever. I had a glass of water on my desk, and I remember Gary had said something, and I got so animated, like to respond to it, like I don't know, and I flailed my arm and I just backhanded the glass across the room, and it smashed against my closet door. And I was like, and you could hear it on the podcast. I've listened to it, but it's like funny.
Wait. I was never aware of this, and this is really ahead of the time you shit yourself during our podcast?
I did not shit myself on your podcast. What?
Bull crap.
Tell me, what episode?
I remember you just like, you texted me like frantically one night, you're like, Kyle, take over. I was like...
No,
okay.
I threw up. That's a big difference. That's
No. You had
during the
Crohn's
podcast.
Outbreak.
Like
you had a Crohn's outbreak.
No, yeah, I got up and vomited, and then Jesus, it's just taking a toll. You think I just crap myself like a 3-year-old? Oh my God! Let's talk some Jets football. No, I got up because I felt sick, and okay. Anyway, I didn't count it because it wasn't on the podcast.
What show did I call into? Just out of curiosity. I don't know what this is anymore.
Astro and Toronto. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, we've done a little bit of some Jets articles from TOJ, but one that I thought was kind of interesting was Joe Caparosa did talking about some best offensive Jets personnel ones. A little bit different, though, but Scott, I want your best Jets offensive personnel group that they can have, that'll be the most successful this year, and then the best Jets defensive personnel this year. So just take us through, obviously, just kind of the grouping that's going to be there. Are we going 4 wide receivers, or are we having Isaiah Crowell in the backfield, whatnot, which the tight end, who's the court, whatever. And then defensively, talk about, nickel, 4-3-3-4, whatnot. So I guess I'll start with you, Scott. If you haven't thought about the question, we can give you some time. I haven't also really thought about the question. I kind of wrote it down, but we can kind of wing this, play it by ear. It's kind of the plan. So if you'd like to start, you can. If you need some time, you can volley to Kyle or I.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer it kind of with a mix and match. I don't know that there's one specific thing. I think what will make the Jet offense interesting is that there are a lot of different ways they can go. I think Isaiah Crowell has a lot to improve upon as far as receiving skills, but Hal obviously is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. So I think mixing and matching those two in, and sometimes doing 2 running back sets to confuse the opposing defense could be worthwhile. I know that it was funny, Stump Mitchell said that Elijah McGuire reminded him of LaDainian Tomlinson, and I talked about that with your old friend, Mr. Darryl Slater from New Jersey Advanced Media on the podcast. I don't see that. Yes, friend of the podcast.
Can we talk about that's maybe my biggest pet peeve. When you go on Twitter, so let's say Darryl Slater tweets out something, and you'll be like, from the Jet Take account. So you get on it, and you'll be like, a friend of the podcast, Darryl Slater, said whatever. But you'll do it with, like, whoever. You'll do it with somebody we interviewed once and haven't really talked to since.
Are they not a friend of the podcast?
They are, but why are you bragging about it? Like, what are you flexing about?
Shut up.
Well, it just sounds like you have insecurities. It makes us, like...
Coming from you, Ben? Coming from you.
Constantly saying
Let's talk about insecurities.
What are my I don't want to hear what my insecurities are. Because then we're just going to start clapping. Scott, would you agree that is a annoying thing to do on Twitter? So like Austin Safarian-Jenkins catches a touchdown and he'll go on the account and be like, friend of the podcast, Austin Safarian-Jenkins. He'll do it. When ASJ catches a touchdown for the Jaguars, I guarantee he'll get on Twitter and go, friend of the podcast at ASJ, scored a great touchdown.
I'll probably just text him because he's not on the team.
Oh, actually, okay, ASJ is a little different, but why are you flexing about it?
It's not.
Anyway.
Well,
it's just reminding people
let
that
me
they've
get
been
your
on the podcast, Ben.
Well, that's a good point. And let me get your take on this, Ben, then. So if I do an interview with somebody on Play Like a Jet, and the interview goes for like 2 hours, and so I talk to the guy for 2 hours, would you then say it's okay to say friend of the podcast?
He's a friend in a way, like he's an acquaintance, but you're not going out and getting drinks with the guy.
No, I'm not saying he's a personal friend.
Okay. Either way, Scott, let's say you're great friends with Josh McCown. Why would you go around bragging about that on Twitter? Like, you have him on the show, whatever. You do an interview, you talk to each other on Twitter, but you don't need to say just because my best friend. That's the vibe.
I have to side with Kyle here because I think number one, you're not saying you're personal friends with the guy, and number two, I think like Kyle said, it's a promotional tactic. You're reminding people that that person was on your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you say it about every guy, like literally every day.
I've only tweeted that like once or twice. You're making like a huge deal out of it.
Here we go.
Like I said, a crazed married couple that needs some counseling.
Friend of the. Let's do friend of the. Okay, no result. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh,
really? I delete most of them. I'll do Kyle.
No, Ben, I think I've tweeted that.
You realize I delete most of your tweets if they're.
I think I've tweeted that only at Daryl Slater like once.
No, you've done it ASJ, you've done Darren Lee, you've done like Derek.
For the record, if you want, you can say that Daryl Slater is a friend of POJ Digital because he's been on my podcast like 11 times.
But what's the point of bragging about that? People will know if they listen to your podcast.
It's like a promotional thing. Ben, that builds credibility. It's like, oh yeah, I'm friends with Brad Pitt. Damn, I'm impressive now, right? I'm friends with Brad Pitt.
I don't think it means that you're personal friends with the guy. I think it just means, like Kyle said, it's a way of saying that the guy was on the show.
Like people who respect.
Then plug the episode. I don't know. It's just it's tacky. Honestly, it's corny, Kyle. It's corny when you do it all the time.
You're gonna lecture me about corny and tacky. Then?
How am I corny and tacky? Please tell me.
Oh dear Christ, let's start. Really gonna do this?
Yeah.
Are we really gonna do this?
He doesn't have one, so he's stalling and thinking, okay, what can I throw out here? And he doesn't think anything. He's gonna say something about Portland, obviously. That's his first one.
Portland's definitely in there.
I'm sure he'll pick on you being white or something too.
It'll be white, Portland,
that's a crime.
And then go. I want
Mount
three
Rushmore.
examples.
You text in proper English. That's got to be the tackiest shit I've ever heard of.
Yes, I mean I do.
I also text in proper English, so I guess I'm corny.
Kyle
You're also in the tacky group, Scott.
Kyle types like misspells words. So if it's like which, he'll do the wrong which. For theirs, he does the wrong
No.
For yours, he does the wrong yours. You're literally the worst texter I've ever seen. But I will say, Kyle, it's not just texting.
I'm not great at twos.
Okay, but Kyle, if it was just texting, it'd be fine. Whatever. You'll write articles for TOJ with grammatical mistakes. You'll publish episodes in the bio, and it'll be grammatical mistakes.
I've done that.
Yes, so
I've never done
that.
Call
me tacky that I have an education in English.
How much you pay for that, Ben? How much you pay for that high school education?
Oh my God. Okay, give me more. I want two more, and then we're going back to 20 minutes of Jets talk, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay.
You can't think of him.
The way you dress. You wear Sperry's.
How do I dress? You've never seen me in my life. I don't even have Sperry's.
You've sent me images that you've doctored.
What do you mean?
You photoshopped a beach photo because you didn't think your face looked good. And it was the most obvious Photoshop I had in my life.
Oh, yeah, like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, you were that insecure.
On my Instagram. Okay, to be fair, it was like a great photo, but like my hair. I just changed my hair. I deleted it. It was funny.
I got him.
Yeah, I own up to that, but I was also 15. So, like, I mean, I'm 18 now. I think there's been a lot of growth and non-tackiness in 3 years. I still think you have, well, I don't think you're going to grow any more some spots, but. Ouch. Damn, Kyle. Big words coming from you, bro. Baby hands Fahey throwing shots. I think that's why I'm excited to box you, because it'll be just boxing somebody with, like,
What else
like
goes
muffins as hands? I don't even know what we're talking about. Okay, Scott, let's talk about the Jets.
To you.
I know you were probably itching to say something during Paulie and I's segment on the Mount Rushmore.
Sure, you guys were.
God.
I was texting Paulie while that was going on.
I just imagine somebody listening to the show and just like, okay, well, are they going to stop talking about, all right, and then they'll hit like the plus 15 thing on iTunes, and we're still talking about it, and they'll hit it again, we're still talking about it, we'll hit it again, you have to hit it like 12 times, so we're back to Jets. We're back to Jets, sir, or ma'am. We accept everything.
Whoa.
The Jet take is...
Whoa, hey, fluid. Just a reminder.
Okay. Jet take accepts all people.
We don't.
All different pronouns are available on the Jet take. Yeah.
Yes.
What is your surname?
Okay, Kyle. Okay, Scott. Mount Rushmore of your Jets running backs. I want to hear it. We'll generally try to save this segment, I guess, for you because we're going to try to do one once a week apparently, impromptu. Good idea, yep. Kyle. We're starting with running backs. So I want your top 4.
All right, yeah, tough one. I think the two obvious ones are Curtis Martin and Freeman McNeil. Those are the two best. And then after that, man, you could make a case for a bunch of different guys, but I think you probably have to go with Boozer and Snell.
That's what I have.
You could make a case for Reagans, but I just think that it's hard to put him there considering that most of his best years were in Washington. Thomas Jones, as far as, just the contribution on a year-to-year basis would merit consideration because he had 2 of the best seasons any running back's ever had, but he was just here for too short of a time. I love Adrian Morrell. He was a former guest on Play Like a Jet, and I think he's one of the most
friend of the show. We had him on the show. We like him. We talk.
Go listen.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show, as is now superstar Luke Cage actor Thomas Jones, who also appeared on the show.
Hey.
But
wait.
But
did you watch Luke Cage?
Did I watch Luke Cage?
Yeah.
Not yet, no.
Oh. So you just know that?
Well, I mean, Thomas and I follow each other on Twitter, so I guess we're friends on Twitter or something. So I see all the tweets about him and Luke Cage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he actually really did a good job.
Timeshare together.
Yeah. I did hear that, so I'm looking forward to watching it. But anyway, I think that his 3 years were as good as anybody, but I couldn't put him on there because he's only here for a short time. Adrian Morrell, I think one of the most underrated running backs in Jets history, was really, really good, especially when he was the lead back in both 96 and 97. But I don't think he was a lead back for a long enough period of time. I think that the obvious answer is the 4 guys I gave you, but I do think Morrell, Thomas Jones, both very good. I actually brought this up before on Twitter with you, Ben, a guy that no one ever – and Johnny Hector. How could I forget Johnny Hector? I think Johnny Hector would probably be the 5th guy after that, but I just think that there were too many years where he was kind of the secondary option to Freeman McNeil. I think that the guy that never gets brought up that I really thought was a very valuable contributor for the Jets for 2 years when they were in the wilderness, unfortunately, kind of like Morrell in 96, was Johnny Johnson, who was the lead back in both 93 and 94 before moving on and giving way to Morrell. He's a guy that never, ever gets talked about, but he was team MVP in 93. And he actually, I think, was second in the AFC in yardage in 93, too. So he had 2 really nice years for the Jets. No one ever talks about him, but I wouldn't put him on the Mount Rushmore. I think those 4 guys that I gave you. And then, this is a fun series. So you guys were talking about wide receivers, and I guess we'll do that another time.
Yeah.
But I love Paulie to death. If he thinks Wayne Corbett's the best receiver in franchise history, we need to drug test him.
Yeah,
He wasn't even the best receiver on the team when he was here. So
that
Keyshawn?
was Lavernius.
Well, Keyshawn and then Lavernius, I think. But Wayne was an excellent receiver. I think it's weird. He gets overrated by Jets fans, but underrated by everybody else.
It's more of a nostalgia thing than anything.
All right, Scott.
And Maynard, has to be the best receiver. He's he's the only one in the Hall of Fame.
Textbook example of bad podcasting. You were on a topic, and then we got really off topic talking about Kyle's muffin hands.
Yes.
and then we're going to bring back personnel packages.
That's what we're calling that segment? Kyle's muffin hands?
So,
really? Is that the best thing we can call that?
When your fists are closed, I mean, I guess a muffin is a small, dainty muffin, like a Safeway muffin.
I don't get that reference. I'm assuming
do you have a, it's like a little, what stores do you have?
Store.
Yeah, just store-bought little cupcakes. I'll call them cupcakes, maybe? That's a little more feminine. Okay, sorry. Scott, offensive
You buy cupcakes
personnel.
from places like CVS?
I don't. I'm saying, but I've seen them, and they look like your baby hands. Freakishly small hands. Okay, sorry. Scott, let's talk about offensive personnel. Oh, boy. That's not how that works, Kyle. Scott, I want to hear it.
Definitely is.
Because you were talking about the running backs, and somehow we got off topic.
Yeah, because I think Kyle said something about, I don't even remember what it was that we got into. But anyway, I think that they could do some two running back sets that could be interesting. I wonder what they're going to do with the tight end. I think they could – it depends really on what happens with Herndon. There's the off-the-field stuff. I don't know if he's going to face a suspension or not. I don't know how good he's going to look the rest of camp because he's recovering from an injury. Leggett's coming back from the injury too. They have like 8 tight ends, so I don't know who's going to be doing what. I know Walford's a guy that a lot of people are curious to see. So they can mix that in a little, but I don't really expect a ton out of the tight ends. With the wide receivers, though, I think there are a lot of intriguing possibilities. The guy to really watch from talking to Darryl Slater a lot and from
friend
just,
of the podcast.
Yes, friend of the podcast, who's there on the scene. I know that, Kyle, in the past, certain people have taken shots at you for talking about training camp when you weren't there, man. You weren't there. But
wait, I would like to address this. Absolutely right. I wasn't there. I was not there. I'm a fraud. I can't have an opinion on something based off of numerous clips, articles from reliable sources. It's impossible to form an opinion on someone off of reliable sources. You just can't do it. And I would like to apologize to the people who that affected. I like to apologize for stealing their work and credit. Obviously that's the 11th commandment, the one that people tend to forget a lot. And just from the bottom of my heart, I do apologize. And,
Yes. Thou shalt not comment on training camp unless you're actually there.
I won't. And you know what? I'm looking forward to, correcting my wrongs and, being there this year for TOJ. That's going to be great.
Well, that is good. But anyway, Darryl Slater being there and hearing what he's had to say about the performance and also what the coaches seem to be saying. Look, it's early, and we still have the entire summer to go, and no one knows for sure, but keep an eye on Chad Hansen, man. I think there's a decent chance that he is going to wind up. Yeah, right. I think there's a decent chance that he's going to wind up as the number 3 receiver when all is said and done here. I think Anunua, if he stays healthy, and Anderson, if he stops being a knucklehead off the field, the two of them will probably be your 1 and 2, and I think there will be a strong 1 and 2. After that, I think it's up for grabs. I like Jermaine Kearse, but it's not like he's anything more than a solid but unremarkable receiver, so he can be passed in the depth chart. I know, Kyle, we're going to need to test you afterwards because you said that Terrelle Pryor is the 4th best player on the team. I'm not even sure he's the 4th best receiver on the team, let alone 4th best player. But if Pryor can stay healthy, he could be interesting. I don't like him as much as a lot of other people do because he's been a pain in the butt. The Browns ran him out of town, and all his teammates there hated him. He had to apologize to the locker room in D.C. last year because he was such a problem. And I know he's a big guy, and he's fast, and he had his moments in Cleveland. A lot of people remember that Darrelle Revis game where he torched Revis. But I don't know what to expect from him, especially since he's recovering from an injury, and he really only had a handful of really good games in Cleveland. But the way I look at it is they're not paying him much, and if he doesn't deliver, so what? So you have theoretically 5 guys that could be capable contributors in the wide receiver core. I think, as you were saying, people were picking on Dan Orlovsky for saying he was worried about the weapons. I'm not as hard on Dan, friend of the podcast, by the way. You like that one, Ben, since he was on our quarterback series. I'm not as hard on Dan about that one.
Apparently I attacked him on Twitter. I wasn't aware of that.
You did what?
Apparently I attacked him, according to Ben. Right, Ben?
Did you?
You didn't attack him.
I don't know.
You did something. You did something with The tech. He was plugging his brand new podcast, and you said starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And you said, well, all that can
I
just
read
be
it
done in
wrong.
the Jet Take.
Yeah, I read it wrong.
Like,
I
dude,
thought
what
he
are
was
you
like. The way I read it, it was like he was looking for something with like X's and O's, solid opinions, blah blah blah, like what a good show should have. And I was like, oh, you can find all that on the Jet Take. I didn't know he was plugging his own podcast. I read it wrong. And Ben like texted me, he's like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, oh.
Well, anyway, Dan was kind of. A lot of people didn't like what he had to say about the receiving corps. He clarified later. He didn't mean that those guys aren't capable receivers. What he was saying is that nobody in the Jet receiving corps is any kind of, lock to be a stud. Anderson had a nice year last year, but we still don't know if he can do it consistently. Anun was coming off an injury. Terrelle Pryor, we don't really know what to get out of him. Jermaine Kearse is fine, but he's nothing, beyond a solid receiver. So I think that's all he meant. I don't think that he meant that the receiving corps is bad. But I do think that they're a group that could be productive. And whether it's Darnold, Bridgewater, or McCown, I think we should see an improvement in the passing game from last year to this year.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle, any thoughts on the I don't know, how we kind of got way off topic. I was going to give if I'm going best offensive personnel, you have your default offensive line. Like, you already know you have Shell, Winters, Long, Carpenter, and Beachum. So we'll just say that. That's your tight end. And then a lot of it is kind of predicting on at least two positions, tight end and quarterback. I'm going to use Darnold because, he has a high ceiling, and I'm excited to watch him this year. So I'll use Darnold as the quarterback. Tight end, I'm going to go Chris Herndon. I think PFF, I just lost the tweet, so I'm going to try to get back to it. But PFF, New York Jets talked about how he had the highest. Yeah, we can hear you, Kyle.
Oh, I was talking. I guess you guys. I was trying to talk because you. Okay, it's fine now. You can keep going. I'll just.
Were you muted?
I don't know. I unplugged my mic because I wasn't muted, but I was gonna because he was talking about Dan.
Scott, did you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
No, were you hearing him before that? Were we talking at the same time, or?
He was talking about Dan and the whole thing about how he accidentally thought he insulted him. I could hear all that.
Yeah, I hear that.
No, it was a little after that.
Okay. Well, Chris Herndon had the highest catch rate from the slot among FBS tight ends last year, in 81.4, according to PFF.
Also had the highest illegal amount of alcohol in his bloodstream.
Probably not.
It's up there. That was a stretch, but
I saw where you're going. There was a joke in there somewhere. You just didn't hit it. Yeah. Anyway, highest blood alcohol content would have been a little
legally
legal blood. Okay. Anyways,
it's hard to work with.
I'm actually really excited about Herndon. I thought he was a good pick. So I'll put Herndon at the tight end. So right now you have Darnold, your default offensive line, and Herndon at the tight end. And this is kind of where your formation kind of takes place because you could say, well, maybe you don't have a tight end. I'm going to keep Herndon in because I kind of like what he brings. So that's 7 guys. And so you have room for 4 more. And I think the most successful, this isn't really bold by any chance as far as wide receivers go. I think Anunwa, actually, you know what? I'll just say this and I'll kind of spin it in a different question for you. Anunwa, Kearse, Anderson, and then as the running back, Powell is just kind of your base one. However, I will say this. If we're going to change this question a little bit to make it a little more interesting as far as debate-wise, because that's kind of your base. Powell, I think, gives you the most versatility. I really like McGuire, and so maybe McGuire takes him. Right now, Powell can run in between the tackles, can run outside, can catch the ball. We know that. When he's healthy, he's very good. If we talk about, what's going to produce the most success in the red zone, that's a different conversation. And so, Scott, I kind of want to get your thoughts on that. For me, I'm having Crowell in the backfield because you want a bruiser running back in the red zone. Especially if you're on the 5-yard line, you want a guy that if he gets the ball, and he has to work on his catching abilities, but if he gets the ball for some reason, he's a guy that's going to fall forward. And that's something that's big, especially in the red zone. You want a guy who's just going to get you as close as possible. And I think Crowell, you hand it to him in between the tackles, he can score. Then I think you're going to want your biggest guys possible. Obviously, Nunwa, I think he's going to be a big red zone beast. I like Kearse a lot because I think he's a guy that can kind of find the gap. And then I might sub out Anderson for Pryor in the red zone. I kind of wanted to get your thought on that. And I'll keep Herndon. And Leggett, I guess, is more going to be your open field guy. But it sounds like Herndon is could be a very good red zone threat. So that's kind of where I see the red zone offense is. Really the only change I made there was taking out Anderson, putting in Pryor, and I think that's everybody. That's 5, 6, 7, 4, yeah. And then actually, okay, then I guess you could also take out Curse and try to put in a tight end or fullback like Dimitri Flowers. Right? But I want to get your thoughts on that. Just best red zone grouping.
I think Hansen could be interesting down there too because he's a big dude with really good hands. So that's an interesting possibility down there as well. I think if Pryor.
What the hell? Hand size on
what?
Everything, guys.
I didn't say hand size. I said he had good hands.
He said, yeah, okay, good point.
Right.
He said big dude with really good hands, I think, right?
I thought
yes.
you said he's a good
The thing that I noticed about Hansen the most from watching him is he's just so good at finding like the cushion, the right space between. If he faces a defense in zone, you'll notice this on third down. There's a few great examples of this. He's just so good at finding that one area just in between two defenders, which is just perfect for McCown or who is a quarterback.
Great at ball locating the ball too.
Yes, he's great at that. That's his other great skill. But I think his positioning of himself. Obviously you can work on his route running and stuff. He's not perfect. But when he's trying to find the space, he's very good at that. From what I've watched, I mean, it's a limited sample size, but you notice he had that, and then, great at locating the ball. He has good hands as well. So he's a very promising guy as well. I was just trying to find, okay, if you're going big boy lineup, you want your best red zone tight end, you want a big bully. I guess you want a fullback, so you take out Curse, and then you have a Nunwa Pryor on the outsides. I'm not sure.
Definitely a Nunwa. Pryor, if he stays healthy. See, again, I'm not sure what we're getting at a Pryor, and I know that people are going to think I'm crazy, but I wouldn't guarantee that he's going to be on the team. We'll see what happens because he's still coming off injuries. The wide receiver room is kind of crowded. They're not paying him a lot, so anything could be possible. It's possible he gets traded or cut or whatever. But if he does end up being healthy and he plays a role, he's definitely a guy you want in there because, like you said, Ben, he's 6'5". So
yeah, even if he is a former quarterback, so it's not like he's a physical beast like a Nunwa is. But even if you have a guy who's got that size, if he
of course.
I mean, there are some examples in his playing that of climbing the ladder. You just want a guy with that type of height. He's not the guy, though, if you're running a red zone type of thing where you want him going over the middle, I get. Like, you kind of just want him going, back pylon
corner.
Throw
a fade to him in the end zone.
Yeah, fade, or maybe the back of the end zone, kind of like by the goalpost. If you're going to do something like that, just put it up high. But, he's not a guy that you're going to run the, slant, the play that Seattle run to throw the interception to Malcolm Butler. You're not going to run slants or something with him. He's not a big physical wide receiver. He's big, and he's got the size and the length, and he can climb the ladder, but he's not physical, so he's not.
And he has shaky hands too, so that's
he doesn't have amazing hands. But making the transition from quarterback to receivers, he's probably the most. Would you say he's the most successful QB to position transfer like that from NFL? I know there are guys who have been something in high school.
Give Lamar Jackson some time.
I think Lamar played quarterback. Or even in college, I know Ryan Tannehill was a receiver and then went to quarterback or whatnot.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys that went from
receiver.
I think Lamar is a good.
I guess Brad Smith did it too. There are a few guys.
Right? Yeah, there are a lot of guys. The ultimate example in recent times is probably Hines Ward. There are a lot of guys that did it from college.
Did he do it in NFL though?
Who, Hines Ward? No, that's what I was going to say. From college to pros, as far as making the transition actually in the pros.
Starting as a quarterback in the NFL and then starting as a receiver. Like, I'm wondering how many guys have started at two different positions, not just like defensive end, outside linebacker, but like running back, receiver, stuff like that, corner, receiver, stuff like. You remember Antonio Cromartie?
That's why I like him so much as a player. He's so raw and untapped as an athlete.
He does. Well, I don't know if you can say he's raw. He's going to be 30 next year, right? 30.
Okay,
yeah, I was going to say.
He's only been playing the wide receiver position for 4 years. He has played quarterback primarily, obviously high school, you get moved around a lot just as an athlete. But in football, that counted. College and professional, he has only been a wide receiver for 4 years.
I think he'll be good. I just don't think he's the fourth best player on the team. And Kyle, I think you're just defending that point because you said it. Now you can't turn around on it. But I know
that's kind of what happens when you make a point, Ben.
Because Kyle is Skip Bayless Jr.
You made a very bold point and then we've talked about it a lot, so you can't really back down from it. But I think I'm gonna guess.
You didn't let me escape that whatsoever. You made sure I got trapped in that, and now.
Yeah, I'm giving you an opportunity right now. Do you honestly believe he's the fourth best player on the team? Unproven and all, coming off the injury, coming off the locker room issues, coming off a pretty bad season in Washington. Do you think he's actually the fourth best? Because that means he's better. I mean, I'm going to put Adams. I'm going to put Anderson, Tremaine Johnson. So you're saying he's better?
I think he's better than Anderson.
You think he's better than Robbie Anderson? Really? He's better than
because I think he's the number.
Powell.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Powell is so underrated by Jets fans.
Powell doesn't even get snaps from our damn head coach, Ben.
Yeah, well, because that's how he's used best. They don't utilize that the best.
No, that's how he's
underused. Used best. No, I understand he's underused. Some Jets fans say he's underused, and he is underused in a certain extent. They don't use him the right way is kind of what I'm saying. He's at his best. If you notice 2015, that's why I think the addition of Isaiah Crowell will be huge for him. He's at his best when he's working in a supplementary role, when he's coming as off the bench, kind of an additional, bringing that that energy, that punch. If he's a guy that has to run it, 25 times a game. I understand he does numbers. I mean, he had that game in San Francisco where I'm not saying he can't do that, but consistently week in and week out, that's when you start to see trouble. Because it's like, yeah, he could do it 25 carries in a game and have a great game. But if you notice, his injuries and his burst definitely take a toll on him. I think 2015 was the best example of having a guy like Ivory who could take the shots inside, and even Matt Forte kind of towards the beginning of 2016, take those shots and then allowing Powell to come in off the bench, face a tired defense, and do work. I'm not saying he can't do it, but when he has to go inside and take those hits week in and week out, you see him as a worse player. The other thing about Terrelle Pryor is he gives you the ability to do some wildcat, which I know is a trend that's a decade old now from Tony Sperano, but and it's not something that I believe in a lot, but it's like you run it a few times a year. It can be good, especially if you have a guy like Pryor who has that athleticism, that speed, that size, and an arm, especially when you have a guy who can throw. Because it's one thing having, Bilal Powell take the snap. But if you have a guy who was a quarterback in the NFL, that's something that can really work. I don't expect the Jets to run that multiple times a game, but you run it, once every few games, I think you can get some, production out of it. Scott, your thoughts on the Wildcat with Terrelle Pryor?
Yeah, I don't expect them to do it, but you could. I just don't see them doing any of that. But if you're going to do it, he would be the guy to do it with. I guess you could do it with Powell too, because haven't they done some things with Powell?
My point is when you have a guy who played quarterback in the NFL, you have a significant advantage. Yeah. I think it'll work better. I mean, yeah, you could run it with Bilal Powell, but then I wouldn't even call that. I mean, it still goes by Wildcat, but it's just a direct snap. It's just a direct snap to your running back.
Direct snap to the running back with an option to throw. And Ben, I'll answer honestly, since you asked if I honestly believe that about Terrelle Pryor. If I told you the Jets acquired a wide receiver who is taller, stronger, and faster than every current wide receiver we have on the roster, has only been playing the position for 3 to 4 years, and was able to put up 1,000 yards with some of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, Josh McCown, he was on the roster, but he doesn't play like Josh McCown, who we had last year. It was a huge difference in Josh McCown's, to clarify. I would say that that's our best wide receiver. And I think coming off the injury in Washington, he made a mistake in signing a prove-it deal. I will say that. That was negligence on his agent's part for him to do that, because it didn't help him, because he got an injury. It affected him, on the field, and that affected him in the locker room. And from what I've been told, it wasn't great in the locker room in Washington. From what we've read, Kirk Cousins didn't get along with him. That happens in the NFL. Guys butt heads. Guys get injured. A plantar, what's it called? A plantar, I'm forgetting the medical term for it, but it's basically the bottom of your foot.
Fasciitis or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Plantar fasciitis, yeah.
Where you set as a wide receiver and you put the pressure on the ball of your feet when you're getting ready to take off as a wide receiver, and then when you got to go for a jump ball or you got to make a break, it is incredibly hard to do that and to fight through it throughout the entire season. It's something that Washington fans do about still discredit him for. We saw it. He released the image. He's been in rehab. He got injured again. He'll be fine for training camp. But if Terrelle Pryor can stay healthy through this year, which I think he can, because the Jets, knock on wood, the Jets, reportedly have the best training staff in the NFL. We rarely have major injuries due to negligence by a training staff. I think Quincy Inua's neck injury, that was just like a freak accident, was like our most major injury in years. Guys tell their Achilles all the time. The Jets are primarily healthy, and I think that was a big part of why Pryor chose here. Pryor, healthy, on the field, bigger, stronger, faster, and rawest talent that we have in the wide receiving core. And when that guy gets in, he starts getting reps, he can beat most NFL corners right now because he can push them, he can run past them, he can get physical with them. I can't tell you Robbie Anderson can get physical with any NFL corner. I can tell you he can run past them all. Quincy Enunwa, I think, is a smaller version of Terrelle Pryor in like size. He can get physical. I don't know exactly if he's faster than Terrelle. I think they're similar speed, but neither of them are on the Robbie level. But he just, coming off that neck injury, it's questionable right now. And same goes Terrelle with his injury. But I think Terrelle overall as an athlete is one of the most gifted people in the NFL and has found a position that is right for him, and he's still learning it and has been limited by injuries. And I think if you presented that case in front of me as an NFL general manager, I said, damn, I might take it on this guy because that works for me. I want a guy who's athletically gifted and has at least one season of tape to prove it. He did it in Cleveland. He was their number one wide receiver. He was a threat. Teams had the game plan for him. Obviously we have great wide receivers, but I think just because of size and how he's built, he is better than Robbie Anderson. He is better than Quincy Enunwa because of that. Now he's got to go and put that on the field because I'm putting a lot of my reputation on it. But truly in my heart, as a scout, as a general manager, as a fan, I look at Terrelle Pryor and that's my ideal wide receiver. He just got to go on the field and show me it. And I think he can do that. And when he starts doing that, people will start to realize.
All right, last thing, we'll switch it for defensive. Scott, best.
Been on good rants tonight. I've done a couple good rants.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. They're a little long, but I like it. I'll take this Kyle over any other version of Kyle.
Yeah,
I'll say that. Scott, I want the defensive personnel package that's going to have the most success in 2018.
I think you're probably looking at a situation where Bowles is going to go with the obvious in the secondary, assuming everybody stays healthy. And with Claiborne, you never really know. But May is coming off the injury, but he should be ready to go. So you figure it'll be May, Adams, Claiborne, and obviously Tremaine Johnson. So those four guys. After that, I mean, I don't know. You'll see some nickel play, but I hope we don't see a lot of buster screen. My fingers crossed scenario would be that we see Perry Nickerson a lot. Hopefully he earns it in camp. And then I think from there, you're probably looking up front at a lot of – they'll mix and match with the 3 and the 4 guys up front. I think you'll see a lot of Pinnell, a lot of McClendon, obviously Leonard Williams. And then at linebacker, it sounds like, Jenkins is the obvious one, although he missed a little bit of time. And then inside you'll have Darren Lee and Avery Williamson. And on the outside, the other spot, I don't know, man. It looks like a lot of guys are kind of fighting for that. I think you'll see some Josh Martin there, and I think you'll see some David Bass. So, man, I guess the answer here for me at the moment is probably the 4 obvious guys in the secondary, the Pinnell, McClendon, and Leonard Williams up front, and then the 4 linebackers being Darren Lee, Avery Williamson, and although Darren Lee, I know he's a friend of the show, guys, but he's really got to do something this year. Otherwise, I could see him getting supplanted by Minter at some point if he doesn't step his game up.
I think Ben's actually kind of friends with him. I read their DMs sometimes. It's like it's extensive back and forth.
Well, there you go. Hey, listen, that's fine. And then, on the outside, I think Jenkins, and then we'll see who the other guy is.
ASJ are the only ones I would ever call friends of the show.
ASJ is legitimately a very nice guy who I've talked to a lot. I will call him a friend.
Yeah, but even saying that is like, why are you? It sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like bragging. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, sorry, Scott. I see what you're saying because it's like there is an interesting kind of to say what's going to have the most success is kind of a broad topic. Are you trying to get after the passer? Are you trying to defend against the run? There's a lot of different things. So I don't think I asked the question if I'm going to be honest, in a way that was too easy to answer. Because their base defense is what? You're going to go probably Henry Anderson, Steve McClendon, Leonard Williams. Then your linebackers are Jordan Jenkins, Avery Williamson, Darren Lee. Probably.
I think you'll mix it. You'll mix with Anderson. You'll see some mixes with Anderson and Pinnell. The reason I didn't mention Anderson as a start. Yeah, I got you. I just wonder if Anderson stays healthy because he's had issues with that in the past. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Nathan Shepard's the other guy that I think could make an impact.
Yeah, no, that's true. I forgot Shepard. That's true. You could see some four-man fronts.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, because if you're trying to go past defense, then the ideal scenario, you obviously have your set four. You're in the back end of the secondary. You're gonna have Adams, May, Jermaine Johnson, and Mo Claiborne. And then the ideal scenario is you have a guy like Perry Nickerson in the slot who plays really well. I mean, he had a really high grade from PFF as well. I mean, they love him, and whether you believe in PFF or not, I mean, it's at least encouraging to have, what we get him in the 6th round? A 6th-round player having that much praise. Was he 5th or 6th? Scott?
Yeah, for sure. I think if Perry Nick...
Scott, was he a 5th or 6th round
Scott
pick?
just got caught not listening.
Scott was not listening at all. Was he a 5th or 6th round pick, Nickerson?
Nickerson, I think, was a 6th.
Yeah, that's what I said. So it's like, okay, so you could go, as far as pass defense, you have your set 4, then best scenario is Nickerson. And then for linebackers, a guy like Kevin Pierre-Louis is a guy who's played well in practice, is getting some interceptions. I mean, obviously it's practice, but even his game film itself is showing maybe he can play. And then maybe what you can do is I know Williamson doesn't have too much tape, playing the pass as well, but even I think it was Joe Blewett who did a little breakdown saying he does have some potential to actually be able to play the pass well. Kevin Minter is another guy that I think could play it well. So I think you're going to mix and match the linebackers more. What you could see if you try to go ultimate, let's say it's 3rd and 25. You're just going to go past defense. I mean, I guess in that you'd be in a quarter there. But I don't know. If you're just going to go with the nickel and then try to play around with your linebackers, you could try to move Lee outside in coverage and then try to have Minter, Lewis, and then I guess put Jenkins. I mean, I don't know. It's something that Bowles is really going to have to play around with as far as his front 7 goes. I think the back end is more set in stone. I mean, Screen will be the default slot corner, but hopefully Nickerson takes it. Really where the issues come is the front 7. And the biggest thing is because they don't have a pass rusher. So then in the situation I was describing, it's like, okay, so does Jordan Jenkins put his hand in the dirt and just become a defensive end for that? But he's not a 3-4 defensive end. I mean, he could be a 4-3 defensive end, but, who's your nose tackle in that situation? Are you sticking with McClendon, or do you try to take him out and put, can Pinnell or Nathan Shepard play zero tech? Are you putting Leonard Williams inside? It's a lot of stuff that I think they're going to have to consider. Kyle, do you have a thought on just the most effective defensive personnel package?
It's going to be based on who I think is going to win the positional battles, but sure, yeah. I think we're probably going to see a 3-3-5 for the most part, because I think Todd Bowles is going to, I think, Ben, you were talking about a little bit, a rover linebacker a little bit with some of the depth that we've added. A guy like Kevin Pierre-Louis and stuff can step in, and Lee can play more of a, kind of like what Jamal Adams has been doing, last year. Kind of that spot in the box where, he's your linebacker. He's going to be identifying the line of scrimmage, getting a little closer, be listening to the plays, and then still roaming around, making his decisions in coverage, getting to the passer. Because I think we all can agree that Lee, as a talent, is probably best fitted outside linebacker for size and stuff, but he has the athleticism of a safety. It's a good thing to have, and I think we're going to see that more. So I think we're going to see, on the defensive line, Henry Anderson, then nose tackle, probably for the most of the time, going to be Steve McClendon, obviously the rotations and stuff, and then Leo as the other defensive end. Linebackers, I think we're going to see Jordan Jenkins as, our main pass rusher at outside linebacker. We're going to see probably Avery Williamson being the main guy in the middle, just being the stud in the middle who's going to rack up the tackles. And we're going to see Lee being the play caller, but more as a roamer. As I was saying, playing that Jamal Adams role, except, in a role that's best suited for him. Can either rush the passer, drop in the coverage, and he makes the decision. He makes the call based on the offense. Todd Bowles has already said that he's going to be calling the defense this year, so obviously they have this role set up for Lee. And then I think in the secondary, obviously we're going to see Tremaine Johnson, Morris Claiborne as the 1 and 2 corners, Jamal and Marcus May as the 2 safeties. And then I think that 5th guy, it's either going to be whatever safety depth they like the most, depending on the package, and then it's either going to be Perry Neckerson or my guess at safety. Who did we just sign? Who was the good safety that we just signed? We stole from the 49ers.
Wilcox.
C.J. Wilcox. Yeah. That's probably going to be it. And it's just going to be based on yardage, basically, because the Jets, people say, I know I broke it down as 3-3-5. That was primarily for the listeners, but most teams don't go like, oh, what defense are you in? I'm in 3-4 right now. Oh, you're 4-3. No, they go by dime, nickel, firefly, blitz, stuff like that. They go for different packages now. It's not even a set-based defense. And I think Todd Bowles, what I've noticed about his is yardage is a big part of it. Just how the corners play and stuff. And I think that's what aggravated Jets fans for a while. Like that Steelers game 2 years ago where we had Darryl Roberts and who was the other corner who got torched by Martavis Bryant twice. Was it Revis? I think it might have been Revis that game. But Todd Bowles was trying to play his scheme where he was playing corners off because he knew they needed more time, and yet they were still getting burnt. I think, and like I said earlier, he finally has his number one corner, Tremaine Johnson, and a solid number two, and Morris Claiborne, so he can run his scheme. But I think that's going to be the scheme. Todd Bowles is going to be able to utilize his scheme with the talent that he has. So 3-3-5 to break it down for the people at home.
All right, I like it, Scott. It is your time. Let me get the music up.
Sound. Ben, are we doing our Mount Rushmore Jets running backs after Scott?
I already gave mine, which was just Martin, Boozer, Snell, and McNeil.
Oh. Mine's probably going to be
give yours while I get this music up.
Yeah, mine's going to be based off nostalgia, and I would say Mount Rushmore isn't necessarily the best in terms of like presidents and stuff, just probably like most notable, stuff like that, and people who they like the most. A lot of those guys did great things, but, definitely had their flaws deep down. But my number one, going to be Curtis Martin. Number two and number three, and like I said, this is nostalgia-based for me. Thunder and Lightning, Sean Green and LaDainian Tomlinson. Vital to the Jets playoffs. Vital to the Jets playoff runs, back-to-back AFC championships. And then number four, I'm going to go Bilal Powell because he's been the model.
Thomas Jones?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you didn't watch Thomas Jones, did you? You were a little late.
No,
you came right when the Jets were done with their playoff runs, weren't you?
How
can you say nostalgia? You became a fan in 2011.
No, I was there for the AFC Championship games, both of them.
You told me that was the first game you watched. You said you didn't even know the play. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I got into it then though. Like that's what got me into it.
You just put LaDainian Tomlinson, who, don't get me wrong, is one of the greatest running backs of all time, but by the time he got to the Jets was worn out.
Whoa.
Sean
2010 LT was the best LT that they had for a few years. Because remember, he was hurt for a while there.
Yeah, LT started the season strong, and then he kind of fell off a cliff.
Scott, I literally just said
he picked it up. Yeah, he did. But I don't know about that because his playoff game
is based off of nostalgia, and Mount Rushmore is not the best damn presidents. I'll tell you that. They're not even close to the best presidents.
That is a fair point. I'll give you that.
Slaves, okay? They're definitely not the best presidents.
That's Scott, fair.
I don't know because he took that Week 17 break, and I think he came back from that, and he had 2 good weeks. India and then New England. You're right. He didn't really make much.
Yeah, but the second half of the season, he got off to a fast start that season, and then the second half he kind of tailed off quite a bit.
Hold on, before we get your plugs here, let's go with Daniel.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Emerson Boozer or Matt Snell because I wasn't alive. My dad was like 9.
Yeah, I thought we were just going best for. I mean, yeah, if we're going nostalgia.
Yeah, that's what I assumed, but that's a fair argument, Fahey.
If you're just going nostalgia, then I'll go. Okay, can I get game by game here?
I thought that was just like common knowledge.
Okay, well then I would go probably Curtis Martin, Thomas Jones, Leon Washington, and Sean Green probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my first introduction to the Jets was Sean Green, LaDainian Tomlinson as our running backs with Mark Sanchez.
Can I not get a 2010 season stat, like game by game type of thing here?
I don't know.
I'm trying to get. Sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to get his.
I'll get the damn soundbite.
Okay. No, I have the soundbite. I'm just trying to get the 2010 Jets rushing. Like, hold on. If I don't get it in the next 20 seconds, then we're gonna just give up.
I'll pull up the game log. That's what I'm
trying to do right now. That's what I'm trying to pull up the game log. Let's do. Oh, that's right. I'm just gonna type it in. Hold on. Okay, I got it. All right. That's 2011. That is not 2010. Okay, here we go. I got it. All right, we're good. I got it. All right, 2010 game log. Yeah. Let me look at his yards. So he started Baltimore. Yeah, he had 62, 76, 70, 133, 94. Yeah, he did fall off a bit. But you have to remember he was playing more of a complimentary role to Green. Like as far as touchdowns
not
go,
not at the beginning.
No,
at the beginning, they were really using him a lot.
Because after Denver, I remember he had a great game. He had like 2 touchdowns, 55 yards, something like that. And then he came back for the Green Bay game, and they got shut out. He had 54 yards. Then Detroit, 55 yards, no touchdowns. Yeah. Definitely after the Denver game. So first 6 weeks, he was pretty much on a tear.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
He had like touchdown against Miami, 2 touchdowns against Buffalo, 2 touchdowns against Denver. Was receiving wise, was also putting up some catches and yards and whatnot.
All right, Ben, we get it. I'm trying to play Fortnite, man. Come on.
Wow, so you just got into the phase. Faye, how many wins do you have, bro? You're so late to the party. You weren't even there season 2. I was there season 1 actually.
Yeah, I got there like season 4, I think.
Yeah, that's what we're on right now. Damn.
Yeah.
Scott doesn't understand Fortnite.
I've been carrying Armstrong the last couple of nights. Like, I've only won 1 solo. I'm pretty solid in squads. We've won a couple in there, and I'm going to be honest. Greg isn't great. You know, I've only gotten into him. I'm carrying the team.
DA has a PS4, so if he gets on, then I'll teach him the
Bro, we're like a week away from getting cross-platform. Like, we can do cross-platform at PC, but not PS4.
All right, well, soon cometh, and then you'll see my skills. All right, Scott, it is your time.
Ooh, wait, we can do mobile.
So I'm trash at mobile, so let's hear these plugs.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going on at TOJ Digital, boys. For starters, today, your buddy, Mr. Michael Nania, Ben, he debuted his new podcast, which is called Know Your Foe. It was a sneak preview edition. The actual show itself on a weekly basis won't be available till the preseason, but it's a weekly look at the Jets' opponents, really the nook and crannies and everything. You know Michael, he loves to dig deep and get all the stats and interesting nuggets of info that other people don't really know about. He also had Mike Lindsley, who's been covering the Bill. What's going on? Are we stopping the music here?
No, sorry. I clicked a tweet by accident. Sorry.
Oh, all right. Anyway. Okay. So anyway, Michael had Mike Lindsley, who's been covering the Bills for Sports Talk Radio up in the Buffalo area for about the past 20 years and hosts the ML Sports Platter as well. I think it's a really good listen. You should check it out if you haven't yet, and it'll whet your appetite for what's to come once the preseason starts. Paulie was on. He talked about what's your point. That's going to be a fun one. He and Dalvin are going to debate every week. It'll be kind of like a presidential debate where the first person will talk for a minute, then they'll go back and forth for 2 minutes apiece. I'll moderate, and then we'll have a guest judge who, after each round, will come in and decide who won the round. At the end, we'll see who won the game based on points, and then at the end of the season, we'll probably have some silly bet where the winner gets to make the loser do something embarrassing or something like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Joe Blewett and Kyle Smith are debuting. You mentioned Gary and Kyle before. They're going to be doing a show called TOJ Film Room. Joe has been on a tear doing those film reviews at turnonthejets.com, and he just came off a 6-episode series with me on Darnold's 2017 film. So he's chomping at the bit. He's ready to go, and I'm really looking forward to that. There will be a video option, too. That's July 13th. That'll be available. We've also got another brand-new podcast in the works. I don't want to spill the beans yet, but it involves an absolute legend of the New York airwaves. That's all I can say right now because we're still kind of figuring out what this is going to be. But trust me, if you are somebody that knows anything about sports talk radio in New York, this is a guy that you know, you probably love. I can neither confirm nor deny who it is, Ben. I cannot confirm or deny. And it's Francesca, by the way, not Francesca.
What did I say, Francesca? Oh, wow. That's embarrassing. Yeah. I meant Francesca.
That's okay. But anyway, so we're still...
Ben just got evicted from Syracuse.
Oh, wait, I thought I said Francesca. I thought about it when I said it. I was like, why did that sound weird when I said it?
Is it Carton?
Yeah. Luckily for you, Francesca actually went to St. John's, so they won't get you at Syracuse for that one. So we're gonna put
I'll just have like a
on
Portland accent or something.
Is it
Like
there,
Oregon?
Scott? Is it Carton?
There you go. When in doubt, is it Carton? I can neither confirm nor deny who it is, but we'll have some more details on that.
Scott, you can confirm or deny that one. Is it Carton?
DM me later and I'll tell you.
Did we honestly get?
The guy's sitting in jail, Scott. You can confirm.
He's not. He's actually. Carton is not in jail. Actually,
they gave him bail.
He's doing a show right now. He's doing a daily show.
The dude's facing like 25 to life.
Yeah, but he's not actually in jail right now. He's obviously out on bail.
So he's just doing a show while he's...
What are people listening to his podcast for?
I don't know what to tell you, man. He's got a daily show going on right now.
Have you addressed it at all or no?
That had to be awkward, like that first episode. Hey, guys. It's your boy, Carton. I'm not wearing a jumpsuit right now, and I'm doing this podcast. We're not good.
I'm going to bet based off this conversation, because I feel like you would have cut us off. It's not Carton. I'm now interested.
Yeah.
Back.
All I know is that if it is Carton, you're going to feel really bad that you just said all that stuff. So
no, I won't. I'll say it to his face. The guy couldn't pick his nose for years. I'm not surprised he was in a gambling debt.
Okay.
All you had to do was listen to his show.
All right. Anyway, whether it's Carton or not, you'll find out soon enough at COJ Digital. And then we've got Dan Essian's got Buck the Trend that's coming up on Saturday. That's a look at different schemes, different coaches and players and general managers and executives who kind of changed the game. Joe Caparosa's got a brand new episode of the Turn on the Jets podcast coming out tomorrow. I'll be on it. We're going to talk about the process that led to Sam Darnold getting drafted by the Jets and what we expect from Darnold. And that will lead up to what I think is going to be the biggest series that we've ever done on Play Like a Jet to this point. And that is, we're calling it The Road to Sam Darnold, featuring Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated. Everybody knows that Albert wrote an incredible piece on the Jets' 3-year journey with all kinds of inside information, having spoken to every key piece of the Jets organization about the whole thing, how the timeline played out from the day Mike Maccagnan arrived, actually even going back a little bit before the day Mike Maccagnan arrived, all the way up through when the Jets were able to land Sam Darnold. Some great inside details. If you haven't read the column yet, go ahead. But Albert and I are going to be doing a series on this over the next bunch of weeks. And if you're interested at all in the inner workings of the Jet front office and how they ended up with Sam Darnold, there's some interesting things that we get into, even about Christian Hackenberg, believe it or not. That's going to be debuting on Friday on Play Like a Jet. So all of that is going on right now. I'm really looking forward to pushing things forward. We've got some new shows coming up, like I said. We are going to continue to push TOJ Digital into the 2018 season and make it a giant juggernaut, and I'm glad you boys are a part of it.
Aw, thank you. All right. Scott, I think you did that. That was pretty good timing.
I'm not accepting that half-ass compliment.
Wow, Jesus. Kyle was just so nice.
What was a half-ass compliment?
Kyle, did you like my Chad Hansen tweet? Were you a fan of that?
Did you see what I quote tweeted?
Yeah, he just said Benedict Blessington.
Yeah. Sure, they love to hear that.
Yeah, they do. All right, Scott, yeah, thank you for coming on the show, man. Love the plugs as always, and as we said at the top of the hour, we dare you to find better content than
dare you.
Better Jets content at turnonthejets.com. Go follow everybody there.
No,
at
Joe Caparosa. I'm not done.
This is before your time, by the way, but there's a show called Double Dare that used to be on Nickelodeon, and so you could double dare somebody.
No, time out. How the hell do you know it was on Nickelodeon?
Because it was on when I was growing up, dude.
You were a kid at one point?
What? No, like, legitimately, I don't think that math adds up. When did Nickelodeon come out? Like,
talking about the 80s and into the 90s.
Scott, how old are you?
All right, for God's sake, guys. They're bringing the show back anyway, and that's why I brought up Double Dare. So anyway, look it up.
You're plugging for Double Dare.
I thought Nickelodeon was like...
Because you said you dare somebody, so I jumped in and said you can double dare them. Anyway,
Scott, like I wasn't.
So Kyle,
Still there, friend of the podcast. We just have him on all the time.
Yeah,
it's your boy.
Friend of the podcast. So what's going on, Kyle? You said you weren't done?
Yeah.
What's up?
Not only do I dare you, not only do I double dare you, I triple dog dare you to find better content. I'm going to put everything on it. I'm going to put everything that I have on it. It may not be much. It may be getting taken away soon by the justice system, but I'm going to put everything on it. I double dog damn dare you to try and find it.
Sources might tell me that may be used as a promotional tactic this week. Scott, it was great having you on, man.
Sources tell me that we're going to be getting a DM fairly soon about poking the bear. And I'm so afraid. I'm just sitting here rocking in my chair.
All right. Scott, thank you so much for calling in.
All right, boys. A pleasure as always.
Thanks for being on. I don't think that math adds up on Nickelodeon whatsoever.
Hold on. You might be one of those guys that's younger than Nickelodeon.
I'm pretty sure Scott told me he was in like his 40s.
Could double dare, but I could also see him being like 32, like just kind of.
That
doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't.
No, that doesn't add up.
Oh wait. Oh no, I never seen that shit. Never mind.
I don't think Nickelodeon was
Double Dare. What was it 1986? First episode was 1986. Yeah, that actually makes sense because he could be like, yeah, he's not born then. Let's say he's born like 78, and he's 8 years old. That makes sense. And then what is he?
Nickelodeon was out in 86?
Yeah, well, that was when Double Dare first premiered.
Was it on Nickelodeon?
Yes, it was on Nickelodeon.
Okay. I just didn't think they had that channel then. I thought that was an our generation thing.
That actually makes sense quite a bit. 22, 18.
No, it adds up now. Like that marks them around 40.
That actually works out pretty well.
So, yeah. People born in 1990 are going to be 30 soon.
Yeah. Damn.
1990 was 30 years ago. I still think like 1970.
I was born in 2000.
Yeah.
And I'm 18. Which makes I'm just a year. I never have to worry about how old I am.
I just have to,
subtract one.
Yeah.
It's kind of rough.
It is. I struggle sometimes.
But technically, this century doesn't start until 2001. Somebody's telling me the century goes like 1901 to 2000.
Yeah.
Hold on. Like 20, hold on. When's 21st? Hold on.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld. Damn it, what they call it. The Kramer
time period.
Oh boy, I'm lacking on the Seinfeld reference right now, but for Seinfeld fans, you get the reference.
It began January 1st, 2001, so technically I lived in two separate centuries. But the millennium started 2000. Hold on.
Yeah.
The millennium started in 2000, but the century started 2001. Right? I guess so. I don't know. It's been fun. Kyle, I had a good show.
Yeah.
I feel like we had a really good show tonight.
Solid. We had a great guest. So.
You didn't make too many dick jokes, but we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. You can follow us at the Jet Take on Twitter. That's the best place to keep up with us. On our way to 2,000 followers there. You can listen to our show wherever you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Twitter, or not, you don't listen to podcasts on Twitter, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, whatever. Just search up The Jet Take. Go to turnonthejets.com to find us on there. I'm going to try to write some articles this summer.
Yeah, I the other night when I FaceTimed you, like I was laying down to write one, and then it just didn't happen. And Greg texted me, he's like, "You want to run Fortnite?" I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'm not doing anything right now."
Wow. Damn. All right. Yeah. That's harsh. Yeah. I hopefully we can get cross-platform going.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think we just have to.
I talked to Nanny about doing a Fortnite and Jets thing on you. So just doing like a game of Fortnite. We talked some Jets over it. Just like
I curse way too much during Fortnite.
You'd also probably die in like 30 seconds. That was the problem Nanny and I faced.
No.
Because we would get like a really great like discussion, banter going back and forth, and then we die with like 8 people left. Something like that. Like
I always die with like 8 people left because I always find myself where like I'm not a great builder. I'm a much better like just shooter, so I just like rely on like I'm not a builder, so like when it gets down, like when the storm starts getting really small and there's like 6 or 7 people left and like I'm stuck in between 2 snipers, just popping at each other from building to building, and I try to run across and I just get domed. You know, that's usually when I die.
You gotta jump. You gotta.
You gotta jump. I know, but like it still happens. I was playing someone last night. I was doing solo. I was waiting on Armstrong because his game had to update, and I popped him 10 times. We were running across the valley where the bridge is, like where that little river is.
By
I was running across.
Shifty.
Yeah, like right before you get into those like the weird burrows and stuff. I guess I'm gonna call them burrows. Yeah, and I know what it's called. I'm just saying. But I hit him 10 times. And then he like started building, and like I had no idea like how he survived. And then he just got on top of me with a shotgun and one-shotted me.
Yeah, it's all about the high ground. It's all about building up. Anyway, you know Leonard Williams is a big Fortnite guy. A lot of guys are. That was my hope. Is hopefully we could try to get like a Fortnite interview, and then I guess upload it. But then you can't upload it to the Jet Take. But you upload it to our Twitter, I guess. I don't know.
Anyway, as I was saying,
I got to decide if I'm gonna make another pump up because our pump up, the pump up I made last year.
I was telling a story. Oh,
sorry. Tell me. I'm sorry. I thought it was done. I thought you said that he built up in shotgun use, and I was like,
yeah. So like I said, I hit him 10 times. Like I was pretty accurate. Like I had a blue AK. I hit him good. And he built up to me, hit me. I think he had a green pump. Or I'm guessing a green pump, might have been a blue, but he just domed me, and I went down. And it switched over to him because it switches over to the person that kills you. He had 1 health, and I had a med kit. He picked it up, revived. I was so pissed. 1 freaking health. I hit him 10 times. He hit me once.
That's when you get in a shotgun fight, like we're just not talking about Fortnite, or we're not talking about the Jets. I'll bring it to the Jets and get this.
Yeah.
When you're in a shotgun fight like that, when you have a pump and you hit a guy, let's say twice, just go to your assault rifle or your SMG.
Yeah, and finish him off.
Yeah, because those are you just spray them down because now you don't need that much. That was the thing that was hardest for me is because I would get a pump and then I hit him and then I'd be like reload, and then I die.
Yeah.
If you have it, because a pump versus attack, the attack will normally win, but a good player with a pump and an SMG
does way more damage.
Yeah, the pump and SMG combo. If you have blue pump and a purple SMG, you just kill people.
I usually go for the pump, but like if I just know like
I would start with the tac sub, the tac shotgun. They nerfed the shotguns though, so the tac subs are kind of better now.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, sorry, we apologize for some Fortnite talk. I will say this though,
they're not listening.
Fortnite is so big that there's a considerable amount of people listening right now that also play and that were like, really somewhat intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get off the airwaves. Hide your kids, have your wives. We're off the airwaves now. All right, Kyle. We'll leave you with the best chant in the National Football League. Everybody have a nice and safe week. Go Jets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm very happy to be the 50% owner of the first completely accepted and openly fluid gender podcast, Jets related, in the world.
Friend of the show.